So that's the first person I think of. Now, of course, you could also think, does this mean, they just don't like what they're seeing from Brady Breeze? I don't know. I mean, Brady Breeze is getting rookie appropriate reps, and he's made some plays. I wouldn't say he's standing out or anything like that. I've said for a while, that I think Matthias Farley has a real chance to make this team based on the opportunities he's getting, based on how he's playing. But I also wouldn't say, wow, Farley, Matthias, again, you can't just say Farley. You always have to say Matthias Farley.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, that guy they're feeling great about him as like the 3. So this could be the 3.
Well, Thompson's 26 years old. He has played 37 games in his career. Only played 8 last year, only played 6 the year before. So not a whole lot of games for him in the last couple of years, but 37 games in his career. So we'll see what happens on that front with Thompson being added to the secondary here with the Titans. What were some of your takeaways yesterday from a very hot edition of Tennessee Titans training camp?
Well, not a lot. So yesterday was the situational practice, which is, I agree with, I can tell Vrabel is still remembering, like I think it was his first year. Yeah, it was his first year when he did like the situational practice at Nissan. It was the fan practice,
yes.
And everybody was mad about it.
Yeah.
And he's like, people say whatever they want to say, but, there's value in this, and certainly there is. I mean, they had all kinds of stuff going on, lateral plays at the end of the game, some special teams trick plays and stuff. Actually, I thought I saw the what the heck was what was that called again? The throwback, the Music City Miracle is the home run throwback.
Home run throwback.
Yes. It was pretty close to the home run throwback.
Hey, it's worked once.
Although am I going to be in trouble for saying that? I might. Let's hope no one's listening at 6:08 in the morning. But, they had a lot of different situations that they were working on out there. So I have very few takeaways. When they were lined up, offense, defense, they were going not full speed.
Yeah.
So it was walk-through stuff, situational, but also like getting a look at this and that. They did have, you got to see some Derrick Henry in the backfield. Meanwhile, A.J. Brown, Julio Jones.
That's Coach Henry to you.
That's right. Coach Henry. Actually, I have something posted on that today on Coach Henry and Darrington Evans. But not much from yesterday. The situational practice, there's certainly value in it. There's not a lot of value in terms of, this play was made and at the expense of this guy or this guy. No one was going full speed in those moments. So it's, I went on with Jared yesterday from practice, and he's like, it's a fair question. Like, that's a lot of this week, they had a day off, they had this, they got, travel day today, they play a game tomorrow. They didn't, ramp up to the preseason game. But again, the game itself is the first time of real contact, taking people to the ground, all these things. So if you think about it that way and trying to be, smart and safe, it actually kind of makes sense to have a light week. Now, of course, next week they're going to have a heavier week when they go down to Tampa and have a couple practices against the Bucs.
Well, and A.J. Brown not on the field yesterday practicing. We did see a Julio Jones sighting yesterday.
He was out there hanging out.
Hanging out.
Yep.
Didn't do anything, but he was hanging out talking with John Robinson at one point. So
yes.
Julio Jones
Make
sighted.
sure that check clears.
That's right. He is sighted on the field yesterday. And then, of course, Vrabel offering some informational nuggets as well. Ryan Tannehill not going to play in Atlanta. Caleb Farley is not ready to play yet at this point as well. Derrick Henry also will not play. So I don't think any of those is a huge surprise as the Titans now getting ready to head to the Atlanta Falcons and play tomorrow night in the preseason.
Yeah.
One mute.
It's poor. It's because Porth's in there. I swear he psychs
well done,
me out,
Joe.
Man. He psychs me out. Lawan, Dupree, and it'll be interesting. So you're trying to get at who is going to play, who is going to get, and one guy who again writing a little bit about him, but I think a really interesting guy who hasn't been talked about a lot, who I'm really looking forward to seeing with an extended look. I think he will get is Darrington Evans. That's. So there are definitely some guys who are going to play football for this team who are going to play Friday, but how many? How far does Vrabel go in not messing around with Does he is Saffold just no? Simmons, Autry, are they just total? I could see them not playing at all.
Yeah.
Does Rashaan Evans get a extended look? Jayon Brown, Bayard Hooker? I don't know.
I'm not playing Jayon Brown very much if I'm Vrabel.
Yeah, I mean, you can make the case to just not play your starters at all.
Yeah.
You could also make the case that it isn't the worst thing to tackle a couple guys before games start.
Yes.
It's interesting how it's changed, and I think Vrabel is more extreme than some coaches, but it's much more like this across the league. Which I don't blame anyone for being like, man, I'm not getting a key guy hurt in one of these preseason games.
No, absolutely.
So stop charging people to watch them.
Well,
would be my next question.
There is that. You think Woodside and Barkley end up with about half the game each? That would be my guess.
Yeah.
About half the game each.
Yeah, I would think so. That seems about right. And it'll be interesting, too. I mean, yesterday we talked to Marcus Johnson. Really good conversation. Really interesting. I mean, he's a story of camp, really. And the problem with that, of course, sometimes the story of camp becomes a footnote in the season,
Yep.
But he is. He's a story of camp. And, does he get a huge amount of work, or has he played so well that it's like, actually, Marcus, play a couple series and we'll go ahead and have Mason Kinsey play 3 quarters. I don't know.
Well, there is one guy and a prominent draft pick for this Titans team that I think could have a lot to prove when game day comes on Friday. We'll get to that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5. The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ryan Porth here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Joe Rexrode playing a little air guitar on the way back in from break.
You know, that's G.E. Smith on the guitar.
I didn't know that.
G.E. Smith, Saturday Night Live band.
Okay.
We're going back now. Going back to like the 80s, 90s, but he was like the really good kind of, outlandish guitar player guy.
Yes. Well said, Joe.
Yeah, sure. He was good at stuff. He was good at guitar
great
stuff.
At things
G.E.
on
Smith.
TV.
Yeah.
Shout out to G.E. Smith.
Shout out to Hall & Oates.
That's right.
Remember, the helpline is on my Twitter account at Joe Rexrode if you need it.
That's correct. Available at any time for your listening pleasure. At Joe Rexrode on Twitter. The hotline that is there.
You want me to call it?
No, I do not want you to call it. Talking Titans, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Channel 4 is on in the studio. NASA expects an asteroid to approach Earth in 2135, so just heads up on that. If you're around in 2135, could have an asteroid coming our way.
Well, that's good to know.
Anyway, you can get here sooner.
Earth? Don't asteroids approach Earth all the time?
All the time. That was the headline. Asteroid expected to approach Earth in 2135.
Well, they're showing we got some visual with that. Is this like the asteroid that's going to
It's like Bruce Willis?
This like the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs?
I don't know. I mean, that's 114 years away, so there's some good foresight on their part.
Wow.
How far away is that thing right now? If they can forecast 114 years out, it's going to approach the Earth. And what does approach the Earth mean in space?
I don't know.
It's like it's in the Milky Way?
I would maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, probably, right? It'd probably be in the galaxy, I guess.
I just want to meet the guy that's looking through the telescope. You know what? Hell, about 2135, that thing's going to end up right here, right by the Earth.
Yeah, you probably could.
I would love to
Let's get him on the show.
See if we can. How do we determine that? Anyway.
That's a good question. Now I have to Google this.
So heads up, in 2135, could be an asteroid coming somewhere near the Earth.
114 years from now.
114 years from now, keep your head on a swivel, as Terry Crispin
That
said.
probably means it's 114 trillion miles away.
Well, I'm going to trust Porth's math on that one. There we go.
Now I got to look this up.
Talking Titans, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We've talked about the game coming up tomorrow night for the Titans. It's going to be interesting to see how Vrabel uses some of his starters. Obviously, Caleb Farley, we talked about, the first-round pick not going to play. But, Joe, I will say, one guy that I think this game is going to be very important for and who I'm honestly pretty excited to see play is Dillon Radunz, the second-round pick for the Titans this past year, obviously drafted as a right tackle coming out of North Dakota State, and he's kind of moved around all over the place so far during Titans training camp, and the general consensus is it's not really gone all that well for Dillon Radunz thus far. And Mike Vrabel talked to the media yesterday about Radunz and just what training camp has been like for him so far and trying to get something out of him as they move forward here. Here's what Titans head coach Mike Vrabel had to say yesterday after practice.
You seen something about Dillon at guard that you particularly like, or is it more kind of a personnel, where you're strong, where it's needed right now situation?
I just was going off TD's scouting, or the whatever we call that, depth chart. I think that there's some versatility that he has shown. I think as you guys have watched practice, he has been at multiple places. I think that that's good for a rookie to be able to handle all that, inside, outside, right, left. Now maybe just start to clean up the technique and things maybe slow down a little bit for him and start to see some improvement. But I have started to see some improvement, and he would be one of those guys that this game is going to be real important for him to validate some of that improvement or development.
Do you see him more now as a guard any more than tackle, or it's just you're still moving him around?
No, we're just trying to see where he fits best and how he can help us. And as we work through camp, we talked about the foundation, talked about developing and building a team, and as an individual trying to define a role, and then obviously preparing to win. And so he's kind of in that finding a role for himself.
So that was Vrabel talking about Dillon Radunz finding a role for himself. So this is a real important game for Dillon Radunz to build on some progress that Vrabel believes he started to show at Titans training camp. Joe Rexrode, based on what you've seen out of Rayduns so far, how big is this game for Dillon Rayduns? How much playing time do you think he could get in this game coming up on Friday?
I would think quite a bit, and what I'm interested in is like where, because he's definitely worked more at tackle recently, and a lot of where he goes has to do with, okay, so this guy's out today, or this guy's, Lawan is still kind of coming in and doing a little bit, but not a lot. So I believe Rayduns has been at least at 3 positions, both tackles and right guard. Possibly at left guard too. I don't know. But he's been all over the place. So to the Titans, at some point you got to get to the – I think what Vrabel's point there is, you got to get him cross-trained and all that stuff, but then you also just have to get him, playing well wherever he is. At some point, though, do you want him to actually get into the mix at the one spot where there's really an opening? Right. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, did you say something? It's Porth.
It's 1-1.
Porth, thank you. 1-1. Here we go. 23 minutes in. We could set a record today.
Someday on the show, we're going to learn how to use the microphones.
Keeping score back.
Do
here.
other shows ever have this problem? Is it just us?
Just you.
Interesting.
That's fine.
But we make up for it with our good looks and brilliant analysis
of asteroids.
By the way, I've got a lot of asteroid information for you guys.
That's good.
I'll let
Looking
you
forward
at
to
the end of the segment. But where is he going to play? I'm really fascinated to see that Friday. So, like if we just expect I'm trying to think. Ben Jones and Saffold have been missing time. You count Lawan out.
Yeah.
Nate Davis has been out for a while now. They've got guys banged up. So, if they had everybody healthy, maybe they'd throw those guys out for a little bit. But you can just count them out already. So you're basically going with like your 2. Kendall Lamb got hurt this week.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, they are really banged up. It's been a healthy camp because you haven't, Julio Jones has a little thing or whatever. But it hasn't. You haven't had and you've had guys come back real early who are coming off major things in Lawan and Farley and Dupree. But man, they are banged up on the offensive line. I don't think any of their starters are going to play because to me right now, Kendall Lamb is the starting right tackle. That may not be the case because I think Tyson Brilo can make a run. But can Dillon Rayduns make a run, or is he just going to be depth guy inside? I don't know. So, but he's going to be part of a backup offensive line that is going to play a ton Friday night.
Yeah.
And so where do they want him to play? He just hasn't had a lot of work at right tackle lately. But again, that's where you hope that he can make up some ground and be a factor.
Well, I would hope that it could work out in a way where maybe he can play multiple positions on Friday. Like he's been bouncing around all over the place. They've tried him at guard. Obviously, he was drafted as a tackle. I would kind of like to see him in both spots on Friday just to see what you've got there. And look, maybe from a confidence perspective, finding a spot where you play well in. This is, what Shane Bowen talked about a little bit yesterday. You've kind of reached the point in camp where you're about ready to go up against somebody else. You've been going up against your own team, going through practice drills for a couple of weeks now, and in this heat, that can get old very quickly. I think using some of that excitement, those butterflies, going through an actual game-like scenario, it is different than practice, and I'm interested to see how he can handle that because – I know we've talked about this, but it's so critical. You've got to get something out of him this year. It can't be a situation where you've selected Dillon Rayduns in the second round and you're halfway through the season and he's not really done anything for you. They've got to get out of the business of that happening, especially when they are drafting people on the offensive line. Like, they've got to come in and be able to help when you're drafted that high. So I'd like to see him play a lot, and I'd like to see him play in multiple positions against the Falcons.
You're right, but then if you're coaching the team, I also think you have to separate those things. And you just have to say, hey, trying to win every week, where is this player or that player best for us? And I understand, some guys are going to make the team based on their draft status and stuff like that, but, hey, this is about coming out daily and having your best players in the best spots. So I don't know. I feel like with Rayduns, Vrabel talked about improvement. there were a few days, especially last week, where it was like, it was pretty obvious he was swimming out there. And it looks like he's gaining some confidence. But this is going to be – he's going to be one of the players to watch without question Friday. You want to hear about this asteroid?
Sure.
First of all, I just went to Twitter. What's up with Twitter? Let's change their font. It's so annoying. Why? What does this do?
I don't know.
Now, of course, I'm going to complain about it, and then like in 2 days, it'll be
change it
like
back.
Well, it'll just be like normal.
Yeah.
This asteroid is called Bennu, Bennu.
It already has a name.
Yes.
Okay.
It's been known about for a long time. I'm reading Science Mag right now.
All right.
24th of September 2182 is actually the most dangerous day that it could hit. But in 2135, they think it will miss us, but it'll be close.
Is it going to swing back around
Us,
in 2182?
us as in like our great grandkids. What's that?
Is it going to swing back around in 2182? Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? How is there a 50-year difference between those two?
I don't know. It must be orbiting.
Must be.
So, 24th of September 2182. That's the day when
We can see some
planetary scientist Lindley Johnson of NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office, if we want to get him on the show.
Yeah.
Lindley Johnson. Cool name.
So is that going to be like the end of Earth if that hits?
I don't
They made a movie about this in the early 2000s. Or I guess it'd be the
Yes.
late 90s.
Never seen it.
It's a
It's
half.
called Armageddon.
Is that
Never seen it.
That's a crappy Ben Affleck movie, isn't it?
Yeah, Ben Affleck's in that movie.
Yeah, I've never seen that crap.
You never seen Armageddon?
Hell
It's on
no.
TV every day.
We'll never watch it.
Bruce Willis?
Ben Affleck's in it. Yeah,
It's actually a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
It's a half-kilometer wide asteroid. So I think it would cause an impact. It's hazardous, but it wouldn't like obliterate the Earth.
Yeah. Expert-wise, Joe Rexrode, he's been doing some reading.
Yeah, exactly. I'm reading Science Mag, so I know everything.
We'll keep our eye out for that coming up here in 114 years. Hopefully that does not impact us at that time.
In 2135, that's when according to these scientists, we're really going to have a good feel for what's going to happen in 2182.
It's going to be
good.
a close call.
Yeah.
good.
So,
At least we've got some time to prepare on that front.
yeah.
When we come back, we'll get into a little college football. CBS Sports has come out with a list naming the best college football team in each state. You're going to want to see the state of Tennessee. We'll get to that coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Periscope, on YouTube, and on Twitch. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Jordan texting in. The Accountant is great with Ben Affleck. Joe Rexrode, have you seen The Accountant with Ben Affleck? I've heard very good things.
I have not. Have you?
Yeah, I really have. Yeah.
Okay.
But I've not yet seen it.
Well, Ben Affleck is in some good movies and doesn't completely screw up some of them. So
Some he does.
he does completely screw up, like being Batman. What a terrible
Yeah, that was not good.
idea. He doesn't totally screw up Good Will Hunting
Yeah.
as he rides the coattails of Matt Damon, but he didn't totally screw it up. I mean,
It's a good time to be Ben Affleck, though. He's apparently dating J-Lo again. How about that? All these years later.
Bennifer is back.
Yeah, it's back.
But look, O'Banion will always be his greatest role. Playing a jerky high school football player who flunks out so he can paddle 8th graders for another year.
Yeah.
And then get paint dumped on his head. I don't want to spoil the movie for all of you who haven't seen this masterpiece of a movie. Maybe the greatest movie ever made. Affleck is great in that movie.
He is.
He's actually. What's the movie about the CIA movie? Is a good movie that he's in. That he plays. And I have to say, I wasn't excited to watch it because it's him, and he actually did a good job.
I don't know.
It's the true story of, the hostages in Iran. Mike, come on. Help me out. It's very good.
Yeah. I don't know.
The true story of the plot to get them out.
Right.
Gosh.
Was it Argo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Argo.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's good.
Yeah.
So, anyway, The Accountant. All right, good to know.
It's
Porth,
good to
put
know.
it on your
Thank you,
list
Jordan.
of 7,000 films. that you
Y'all
need to
have
watch.
named 5 movies this hour, never seen any of them.
Well, that's
Yeah.
not overly
Big
surprising.
shocker.
Make sure you stay tuned in today. We'll have another spot available and on the line for our Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League. Jacob in Murfreesboro winning yesterday. We've got another trivia question coming up later today for your chance to join our Fantasy Football League. 7 more spots available for this league. So looking forward to that.
Get in there.
Make sure you get in there. Ron was on the text line yesterday. Already talking some smack. So, Ron, you'll have another opportunity to win today.
A lot of
along
people.
with everyone else.
Yeah, a lot of people got in there and tried to get in. So I feel like we got some. We got some real interest. I mean, I'm just gonna warn you though. This is a serious league.
Yeah.
So you might get smacked around. So just make sure that you're up to the competition.
Make sure you're up to the competition, and we'll have that chance for you later today here on the show. Going to have Barton Simmons on later on the show from Vanderbilt, general manager of Vanderbilt football. So looking forward to that conversation coming up at 8 o'clock. And, Joe, CBS Sports has come out with a list naming each state's best Division I college football team by the state. You'll be shocked to learn that Alabama leads the state of Alabama, Georgia leads the state of Georgia, and Florida leads the state of Florida. So they go on state by state here. And you get to the state of Tennessee. And not only is it not an SEC team, it's not a Power 5 team. The Memphis Tigers, listed by CBS Sports as the best Division I college football team in the state of Tennessee. Now, I saw some people react to this yesterday and were surprised by it. I'm not necessarily surprised by that. I think Memphis has been pretty good. No, my question to you is, if Memphis played against a Vanderbilt or against a Tennessee, would you pick Memphis to win in both of those games?
Well, in recent years, definitely in multiple recent years, I would, because they've had such good quarterbacking. I think there would have been some really good games between Memphis and both of those teams. White, they've had some. This is like the glory days of Memphis football right now. And I will tell you, too, with Ryan Silverfield. So we're doing a piece. David Ubb and I are working on a piece. Hopefully it'll come out soon. Talking to high school coaches around the state, and a lot of it is about the colleges. And it's a recruiting confidential. It's about recruiting and how colleges are recruiting them. And tell you what, Ryan Silverfield is very respected in the high school ranks. I can tell you that. As a leader of this program now, the problem, of course, could be, Justin Fuente gets plucked by Virginia Tech. Mike Norvell gets plucked by Florida State. But as of right now, he's got it going pretty well. So, I could buy that. I mean, I think it's. I think especially this year, although they have their own questions, but I think they could absolutely be that.
Barrett Sallee has wrote this little blurb up on CBS Sports talking about Memphis. There are 4 FBS teams in Tennessee, and only one had a winning record last year. That isn't the whole story, though. The program has gone from Fuente to Norvell to Ryan Silverfield without missing a beat, which shows the kind of stability for which Tennessee and Vanderbilt can only dream. Memphis has gone from a total joke in 2013 to a consistent AAC power that deserves a ton of recognition. So the type of stability which Tennessee and Vanderbilt can only dream, Memphis has displayed.
I mean, Vanderbilt's had. They had stability. They had Derek Mason for
7 years.
Yeah, just didn't win enough.
I think it's less about the stability of the coaching staff rather than the stability of the program. Not really falling off all that much.
Yeah. Yeah, and hey, the AAC, who knows what may be coming here, but they kind of keep moving up the food chain too. And at the quarterback, you got LSU transfer Peter Parrish in there. I mean, that's the thing too. If you're a program that kind of builds that reputation of having a quarterback-friendly offense and sending quarterbacks on to the NFL, at every Power 5 school. I mean, Tennessee, we're going to see. We might have seen someone already, but a talented quarterback who's. I mean, there's always talented guys who sign with top programs, and then they're like, okay, where am I going to go play now?
Yeah.
Grant Gunnell from Arizona, Peter Parrish from LSU, and that Memphis is one of those, second destinations that's very appealing to people right now.
Could Memphis join the Big 12? We've had many people on the text line ask us that.
Or could
the AAC
Memphis
just swallow
gobble up the Big 12? Yeah, I mean, I think in either scenario they could potentially. I mean, it's certainly much better for them if it goes the way of the AAC taking some of them. If the Big 12 is out and they manage to stay together and are out plucking programs, is Memphis included? I don't know.
Well, it's interesting kind of looking at this map that CBS Sports has put out. I mean, Memphis is the only non-Power 5 program in this entire region. I mean, everybody else is – there's a lot of SEC teams in here, and then you've got your North Carolinas and your Clemsons and your Virginia Techs of the world out east. But the only non-Power 5 program really within sight here on this map until you get out west with some of the lesser-tier programs in the middle. But Memphis – it does not speak well of Tennessee and Vanderbilt at the moment that Memphis is the number one Division I football program in Tennessee. No disrespect to Memphis. They've done a great job. But if you're a Tennessee Volunteers fan, that probably makes you shudder to hear that.
Yeah, well, but you also have to be not that surprised, right? Maryland is Navy.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one.
No respect for the Terps.
No respect for Harbaugh either. They got Michigan State. Boy, I don't know about that. Poor Harbs.
Just can't catch a break out there in those khakis.
It's interesting. New York is Army.
Yeah.
But I guess Cuse hasn't been good in a while.
It's been a little bit.
So they only tell you your top one, right? They don't rank them.
Correct. Where do you think Tennessee is on that?
I don't know. Is Tennessee number 2?
Second? Are they third? I mean, the 4 FBS programs, Memphis, MTSU, Tennessee, Vanderbilt. I would say Tennessee's probably second.
I would say so, but I would say it's there. I mean, it's debatable. Now Vanderbilt went 0-9,
right?
But it's close. They did thump Vanderbilt, so you have to give them 2.
You would think so. They did lose 26 guys off their roster as well, so we'll see how that goes. And could be losing one more. Looks like the quarterback competition at Tennessee maybe becoming a little bit more clearer into focus. We'll get to that coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Hey, Robby Stanley here to tell you baseball returning to its roots today when New York plays Chicago in the cornfields of Iowa. And you can make the most out of this historic game with FanDuel Sportsbook's $5 field of dingers. Just bet $25 on a same-game parlay with at least 3 legs to unlock a $5 bonus for every home run hit during the game. And you can build that parlay your way. Home runs, strikeouts, the money line, everything is on the table. So lock in your parlay and be a part of history on August the 12th. If you haven't tried FanDuel Sportsbook yet, new users can place your first bet risk-free. That's right, new users get up to $1,000 back in site credit if your first bet doesn't win. So just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today and use promo code ROB so they know that we sent you. That promo code is ROB. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Minimum bet of $25, max bonus of $35. First online real money wager for risk-free bet. Refunded bonus issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ryan Porth here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Going back to the asteroid conversation of 2135, Predemption on YouTube. Hopefully the Preds have won a cup by then. Titans the Super Bowl, too.
Reds are World Series.
By 2135.
Hopefully, Bennu does not, smash the Stanley Cup.
Hopefully not.
That has Preds names on it.
Yeah.
Who?
It's the name of the asteroid.
Bennu is the name of
They've
the
already
asteroid.
named the asteroid. Hop on that bike. Try to keep up.
Sorry.
By the way,
Thought you were talking about the name of a player. I'm like, who?
Who?
Yeah, he's going to be
Bennu Ekholm?
He's going to be their number one center in 2108. Yes. He's going to be amazing.
Sure, he'll have like 55 points a year.
Scouting's really gotten very, very good.
Jeez. There's a second asteroid too, though. So Bennu is one of them, but then there's another one. I can't find the name. It's got a really weird name. It's just like got a number. Like its name is just like a number. So it's like, how come you get a cool name for one asteroid, Bennu? Like, that's cool, That sounds like a Star Wars character. And then this other one is called, 0375-FX.
Guess it's not close enough yet to get an actual name.
Is that what it is?
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, they should be consistent with this.
20-44.
It should be. Hopefully, just a minimal amount of asteroids that planet Earth is going to have to deal with as we move forward here.
You guys ever played the game Asteroids, by the way?
Yeah, have.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, go on.
Well,
If it doesn't have to do with sports.
I didn't realize you were sheltered from all things.
If it wasn't Sports Center or Wedding Crashers, Porth has not seen it.
Or Madden.
Yes.
Fair enough.
That's how that works.
But I did play Zelda as a kid.
It's a good game.
Okay.
And Super Mario.
Okay. So at least he's got some culture to
All
it.
right,
That's
good.
good.
Fine. Yeah.
Frogger.
Asteroids was cool. Oh, well, if you played Frogger, then you should.
I love
that's right.
Frogger.
Frogger's great, but that's right in the universe of Asteroids.
Yeah.
You know. Dig Dug is the most underrated video game.
Yes.
Dig Dug?
Yeah, you ever seen it?
Do you have to dig Dug out of a hole?
You're digging, and then they're chasing you, and then if you make the little thing fall on their head, it's a great game. Very underrated.
Never heard of it.
That's right.
If you go to one of these classic video game places,
You can find it.
if they don't have Dig Dug, I walk right back out the door.
How about this, Joe? We go play Dig Dug, and then you come over to my place and we play Madden.
Yeah, I mean, I'll play Madden. I've played Madden with my kids, and it's like, okay, great. I'll watch it because it's like I'm watching a real football game, but I don't like 17 buttons. Give me Tecmo Bowl. It's the video
It's
games.
too much for you.
Video games peaked with Super Tecmo Bowl.
That handheld
in
controller is just too
1991.
much.
What about electronic football when you just turn on the buzzer and the little players in the football just float around on the board?
Like the little dot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I
I'm
had
talking
one of
about
those.
I'm talking
Oh.
about like the physical, actual like electronic football game.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, that's cool. I'll do that.
I got that for Christmas one year, played it like 3 times, and was like, this isn't any good.
That was it?
It wasn't. It didn't compare to Madden.
Well, thank you.
That's probably true.
Talking Vols, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And, Joe, it looks like the quarterback competition starting to narrow down a little bit. I don't think this comes as a huge surprise. But Brian Maurer has been 4th string the last couple of days. And yesterday, Brian Maurer not on the field at Tennessee's football practice, which, of course, I think Adam Sparks was the first one I saw report that, and that got Tennessee fans abuzz. Does that mean he's in the transfer portal? Have we seen the last of Brian Maurer on the field as a Tennessee quarterback? And Maurer did write on Instagram on Tuesday night, quote, "They took my dream after 4 days," and then later edited that post and added to it, "That's okay because I'm a soldier. Hashtag 18 out." So doesn't sound like Brian Maurer's going to be here. And, Joe, I don't think that's a very big surprise. All 4 of those quarterbacks were not going to hang around, and Maurer, I think, was clearly number 4. I'm not surprised that this has gone this way.
No, nor am I. I mean, the bigger surprise really was that he was still around to compete for this. So, I mean, look, Alex Golish talked last week about how they need to start whittling it down, and he was talking about maybe 2 after like a couple weeks. But, I mean, Maurer was the expected sort of 4th of the 4. And so I'm not surprised it appears to have played out that way. Nothing's been confirmed.
Right, he is not yet officially in the transfer portal.
And it's not a big surprise. That sounds like someone who's really disappointed. So I suppose if you believe that you were going to get a full shot and it's only been 4 days and now the reps are taken away from you, I can see being disappointed. But, I mean, even in the spring, it was kind of clear, wasn't it, that he was not really pushing for the number 1 job?
It seems that way, although, I mean, based on some of the things that Maurer said at Media Day a couple weeks ago, last week, whenever that was, it seems like he felt like he was going to have a legitimate chance to compete for the starting job. Quote, and he said this last week before fall camp opened, quote, "But now that he's here, talking about Heupel, I feel like it's all wiped clean. Obviously, I know him. I know what he does and stuff like that, but this gave me a new start and also gave him a new start as well." So it kind of feels like Maurer, in his own mind, whether warranted or not, I don't know, felt like he had a pretty legit chance at competing for the starting job, which I've just never really believed this whole time.
Well, look, I believe Golish and Hypa last week when they said, like, they're all going to be out there and they're going to get, like, it's going to start out with, like, your rep, now your rep. I mean, you can say, like, 4 days is not enough time, but, again, they have the spring and they also have film on them. And if you're Maurer, first of all, you already know that Harrison Bailey is pushing, and he was a big recruit, and that's what happens in the quarterback room. Every year at a program like this, you're going to get a big recruit. But you also know they brought in Hendon Hooker, and then they brought in Joe Milton. Like, if you're going out and pursuing Joe Milton at that point, I mean, to me, that tells you, well, that they're still looking for what they're looking for. I think Maurer is a talented quarterback. I think he can, he's got to find a good spot, but I think he can play quarterback for someone. I think his accuracy and kind of inconsistency just, again, this is why I had him fourth.
Yeah, well, look, he didn't get much of a shot last year. They had like that special Brian Maurer one play a game package where they'd come in and he would take off running for 15 yards and then right back to the bench Brian Maurer would go. One thing that did stand out to me a couple of years ago when he got kind of an extended look, he's got a heck of an arm.
Oh, big arm.
He can throw the ball all over the field, and sometimes that got him in trouble when you're trying to run 35 yards to your right and then throw across the body to the left. That happened a couple times in the Mississippi State game, and that's just something you've got to be coached on at that point. But he's got ability, the decision-making, and the inability, I think, to read defenses at times really caught up to him. And I don't know how much improvement he's made in that area, but it was kind of weird last year. I thought he would get more of a look last year than he ultimately did, and now it looks like he could be looking for a new program.
I memean, look, Tennessee coaches wanted him to have every opportunity to win the job 2 years ago from Garantano.
Yep.
And then, he could. And the story ended up being that Garantano had redemption, right? I mean, that ended up being the story. But it's also because Maurer just was inconsistent and did all the things you just said.
Exactly. And you can't play that way in the SEC. It's great to have a big arm, and that's fine. But you can't play that way in the SEC consistently and win. So, look, he's not in the transfer portal yet, and Wes Rucker was pointing that out yesterday. It doesn't necessarily mean that he is leaving, but based on him not being at practice and also based on some of those comments on Instagram, I would not be surprised if it's sometime either today or in the next few days we find out that Brian Maurer's in the transfer portal.
Yeah. And again, hopefully, I mean, he's got ability without question. Got to work on the things you talked about. And look, when you think back to the coaching and the coordinating the offense and everything, there's probably better places to develop as a quarterback. And I'm sure he looked at this staff and said, look at what these guys have done. I'd love to – and that's probably really the answer and why he's still around, because it's like, here's a quarterback-friendly offense, totally, like he said, clean slate. But I just don't think he's as good as the other three guys.
And maybe you can go elsewhere. Like, J.T. Shrout went off to Colorado. Probably going to be the starter there. Just go somewhere else and start.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to make the right choice. Now it gets really interesting with if this goes the way it looks like it's going. This gets really interesting with who's the third, because I really believe that it will be two quarterbacks getting split reps and probably into game week and possibly into the game, whatever, but you can't do it with three.
Coming up next, we'll get into why the Houston Texans may be fastly approaching the status of the dumbest organization in sports. All that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode live from the Wholesaling Studios, powered by RumbleOn.com, here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in. Hour number 2 of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ryan Porth here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. You're going to have Barton Simmons, Vanderbilt football general manager, coming up at 8 o'clock here on the program. And then Teresa Walker from the Associated Press at 9 o'clock. Teresa, fresh off a trip to Tokyo for the Olympics. She is back. She is in town. She is covering the Titans once again, and we'll get her thoughts coming up at 9 o'clock here on the show. Also, remember, best and worst thing in sports coming up at 8:45 as well. So a lot still to come here on Robby and Rexrode here today. Joe Rexrode, the Houston Texans, it's been quite the offseason for them in terms of J.J. Watt out the door, a lot of negativity around the organization, the Deshaun Watson trade saga before the Deshaun Watson legal saga played out in front of our eyes all offseason long. And now, David Culley and the Houston Texans making news again it's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. So apparently, after practice is over yesterday in Houston Texans training camp, the Texans basically just tried to end training camp right there. They wanted to be done with it, told the reporters that was going to be it, and that training camp was over at that point. And we're just going to go into regular season mode where, of course, the media access is way more restricted in the regular season in terms of viewing practice than it is in training camp. And that's what they were going to try to do. Now, that idea was quickly thrown aside by the NFL. And this, according to the Houston Chronicle, John McClain, who is one of the best reporters in the NFL, throwing this out there. The practices must be fully open to local media until at least August the 26th in the NFL. So you're talking.
They're only 2 weeks off.
14 days early. They're trying to end training camp in Houston and get into regular season mode before they've ever played one preseason game. What is David Culley and the Houston Texans organization doing? They said, screw it to minicamp. We don't need minicamp. Not doing that anymore. And now they tried to end training camp 2 weeks early before ever playing a preseason game. What are they doing out there?
I mean, and yeah, so you got we don't need this mini camp. We're good. And now you guys can't watch us anymore, even though it's just a clear NFL rule. I don't know, man. I don't know. But that's, I mean, and of all places, because, John McClain, the guy is one of he's got to be in the handful, maybe a handful of other people who have covered the NFL as long as him now working and covering the NFL. So, I mean, he's one of the absolute, he's in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the media voices of this league. So I would have loved to have seen, like, the initial reaction from John on this.
Me too.
I mean, it must have been just amazing. But, I don't know. Like, is it Culley? Is Culley the issue? I mean,
I don't know, because they weren't doing this under Bill O'Brien, right? Now, obviously, the landscape has changed, and I get it. The Deshaun Watson situation, that's a lot of attention on Deshaun Watson at Houston Texans training camp. But, I mean, what exactly are they trying to accomplish here? Other than the Deshaun Watson situation, like, are you thinking that you're going to get some sort of competitive advantage on the field by shutting training camp down 2 weeks early so the media can't report on it? Like, what exactly is going on in your training camp practices that you think is going to affect your performance on the field in the regular season that much? I don't understand what's going on here.
I mean, it could be people are upset. Maybe they're upset, with the reporting on Watson or whatever. But, again, that's the league. I don't know. No one there should, you can have I know they fired a very respected PR person, communications person that made a lot of people upset, including McClain. But, I mean, even if you have, new people in that role, you've got to have people who've been around the league long enough to know that this is just idiotic and you're just going to get dunked on for this whole idea. I don't know, man. That whole organization is just it's amazing how things have changed and how there just seems to be one thing after another every few weeks.
Are you just trying to keep that film back on Davis Mills, who's taking your number 3 reps right now at camp? I mean, you've got I know the quarterback room of Tyrod Taylor, Jeff Driscoll, and Davis Mills really strikes fear into the opponents, and probably going to want to watch all the tape you can watch on that front. And also, I mean, Taywan Taylor is in Houston, Texas training camp as well. So we know that's going to be a real tough challenge for teams in the NFL to cover Taywan Taylor.
Secret weapon, Taywan Taylor.
I mean, I get it from the Texans standpoint. You try to keep that locked down because a lot of weapons on that offense to really be scared of if the media starts reporting on all that stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't want people to. I mean, you're trying to get yourself to 4-13. Not the 2-15 that everybody thinks you're going to be. So, if you can get a few secrets snuck through here in August, who knows?
Are they at the moment? Are the Houston Texans the biggest dumpster fire in pro sports? Are they the biggest dumpster fire in the NFL? Have they moved
pro
past,
sports is a big. It's a big statement.
Have they moved past the Lions? Have they moved past the New York Jets?
Lions are a source of pride.
They
Are you kidding
are.
me? Dan Campbell leads his pride of Lions.
That's good. He does.
A mighty team that will not yield. That's right. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think they're definitely the biggest dumpster
Yes.
fire in the NFL at this point. Pro sports, who would that be?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of.
Well, I mean, the city of Houston
Oh yeah,
is
it's a doozy right now.
pretty good with dumpster fires when it comes, or trash cans,
got the
whatever you want to
cheaters.
look at it.
Yeah, the flaming trash or
The Rockets just totally disintegrated from one of the best teams in the West to just awful.
just
overnight.
They just disappeared.
Their GM was in the middle of everything,
Yeah.
You got
Now
you got the cheaters.
and now you've got the Texans that can't get anything right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a. That's definitely the biggest sports dumpster fire city, and that's again like Detroit. It's got a claim with just the terrible teams, but Cade Cunningham, man, Dan
turn
Campbell,
around.
Dan
Motor
Campbell,
City.
and Cade Cunningham.
Turn around. Yes.
So of the three Houston teams, which is the bigger dumpster fire?
Oh, the Texans.
Texans. Yeah. I mean, the Astros at least are.
they're
still
good, but
good.
they're still cheaters.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
the Rockets.
inflatable trash cans thrown at them at every road stop.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, that's outstanding. But yeah, the Texans have been like. I mean, the Texans were. Well, it wasn't that long ago. The Texans and Rockets and Astros were like the toast of sports.
I mean, where do the Jets fall into this?
I mean, they've got to be up there. But, I mean, look, they've got Corey
They're up
Davis. Zach
do.
Wilson.
They've got a
Elijah
12-year-old
Moore.
quarterback
Elijah
now.
Moore.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson has not impressed. I just want
Well, he's also not shaved yet either, so give him some time. Maybe needs a little bit of development there.
He has never shaved. You're saying?
Yeah, ever
yeah.
in his life.
Yeah, he hasn't hit puberty yet.
Just wait till he does. He's really going to be a good.
Yeah, he's really
quarterback.
going to be able to throw that ball.
Yeah, like 10 years from now.
When the asteroid comes, Zach Wilson will be throwing that ball around.
Bennu.
Or 20 to 44, whatever the number is.
Yeah.
September 24th, 2182. That's the date that you really have to worry about.
I got a text on the text line that says the second asteroid is a droid. Could be.
Is it?
Could be.
It has a name of like a droid.
Chris texting in, so do the Texans deserve the John Clayton term, quote, trash dump? I would say that there is a trash dump the Houston Texans deserve that label.
Trash dump?
Yes.
I don't.
John Clayton, you don't remember John Clayton saying trash dump?
No.
Yeah.
Trash dump.
Yeah.
Is that better than dumpster fire?
I think
Trash
so.
dump.
Trash dump is pretty good.
I think dumpster fire, grease fire, things like that sound like bigger disasters than trash dump.
Trash dump.
Jordan texting in, the Colts are a bigger dumpster fire if you listen to Jared talk about them. Jordan upset
Oh, really?
at Jared. Yeah, Jordan is upset at Jared for his Colts takes.
What's the take? Why?
I don't know.
I mean, I know they're all hurt and stuff.
Yeah.
If people are mad about Chris Ballard, and I kind of get it. What are they under Chris Ballard? Like 500, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's good, but like the fawning over Chris Ballard around the league,
It's a little much.
it's a little much. Yeah.
Like find a quarterback.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's Band-Aid. And, hey, maybe Wentz. The news is good on Wentz and Nelson, apparently, per Mortensen.
apparently so.
But I mean, he's done a good job, but people are acting like he's, some incredible architect of football greatness. I mean, he's a great, press box tantrum thrower.
Yes. I know the answer to this is no because of the money that's involved with it. But, like, if you're David Culley, does a small part of you right now say, man, maybe I shouldn't have taken the Houston Texans head coaching job because this is not going to end well. And I think, like, if you're David Culley and you're in, like, your room somewhere alone and you look at this objectively, you look at your roster right now and you think, it's probably going to be pretty tough to win. You think there's a small part of David Culley that regrets saying, you know what, yeah, I'll be the head coach of the Houston Texans?
Probably. I mean, like you said, the money, the opportunity, not everybody, but a lot of these guys obviously hope to get to that point. But boy, what a bad spot to be in. Now, if you're given time, and eventually you can use the number 1 or so pick on the next QB and all that, then it'll look better. But boy,
he's going to need a lot of time.
He's going to need some time, and it's just like beyond him. There's just some stuff in that organization that's just bizarre. Like who would even come up with this idea about? Okay, that's it on the media.
Training camp's done.
Where does
We're done.
Where does that come from?
Well, and also, like, you still got to make cuts. Like, you've got to work some things out here. It's not like you're going into game planning mode the second week of the preseason.
Weren't they the ones that ended minicamp like a week early?
Yeah, they just said, you know what, we're done. We don't need any extra work.
Which is actually dumber than this. I mean, keeping the media out is one thing. Not getting better when you
football.
suck is another.
Yes.
Yeah, we're fine.
Their over-under this year is 4.5.
Oh, I'm going under on that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's high, I think. I think that's high.
I mean,
Even
they're
in a
number 32 on
17-game
every
season?
list. Yeah.
I mean,
I think they're going
bad.
they are just major league suck they're going to bring to the table.
Their
They're gonna be
roster is awful.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I mean they've got a few good players, but their defense.
Derrick Henry in the first matchup, and I realize the second matchup is the last game of the season. Derrick Henry in the first matchup against the Texans may run for 390 yards
On 12 carries.
on 12 carries.
11.
Yeah, maybe so.
There you go. That's about 30. Yeah,
9.
never mind.
Sounds about right.
10 would be 39 a
Right.
carry. Yeah, 30-something a carry. Yeah, they're awful. Their quarterback situation is, I mean, they're going to be just terrible.
By the
They
way,
should be
Deshaun
happy
Watson's
to
not
be
going to play
covered
in the
right now.
preseason on Saturday. Deshaun Watson's not going to play.
He's QB4 on the depth chart.
He's unlikely to play, I should say.
Shocking.
Taking
Yeah.
on the Packers.
Yeah.
See what happens on that
Wouldn't that
front.
be something if we got Deshaun Watson versus Aaron Rodgers in week 1 of the preseason?
Yeah. Also not going to play. Aaron Rodgers.
So is Jordan Love just going to, like, how much?
He's probably going to play about 3 quarters. Would be my guess.
Wow. I actually kind of want to watch that. I
do
bet
too.
you do too.
Yeah, I do. See what happens. If he can't light up the Houston Texans second string, we got some problems. Because that first string's not very good, much less the second string. ESPN 94.9 is the official English radio home of the Nashville Soccer Club. Listen in on Sunday as Nashville SC takes on DC United at Nissan Stadium. Pregame starts at 5:45, and the match begins at 6 p.m. When we come back, we've got today's opportunity for you to get in on the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League. We'll get to that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ryan Porth here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. We've got an exciting fantasy football league coming up here on Robby and Rexrode. Myself, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic, and Joe's son Brennan going to be in on the mix as well. Yesterday we added Jacob from Murfreesboro to the group, so that means 7 more spots remaining for our Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League. So just to kind of recap, we will be having a draft. I believe the plan is September the 9th, which is the Wednesday before the NFL season begins.
That's September 8th.
That's September the 8th. So as I said, the 8th, the Wednesday before the season begins.
Is that right? The 9th
I'm
is
literally
Thursday.
looking at a calendar.
I mean, I know.
He is correct.
I'm like,
looking
is
at the
that
calendar
right?
now.
I mean,
The
I have
NFL
internet.
season begins on the 9th. So, yes, that makes sense.
I have the internet right in front of me, you know. But listen, I've been looking up Bennu. We were trying to figure out when Bennu's going to hit us.
That is true.
So
Hopefully
okay.
we will get the fantasy football draft in before the asteroid comes to the planet.
hopefully they'll have more info on the asteroid that night.
At the fantasy football draft.
Is our league, by the way, do we have stakes?
Like cooking steaks or?
We could do that too. No, like do you win something if you win the league?
We could probably work
We
out
could
something
work
like
something
that.
out. Yeah. We could figure that out.
Like some gift cards that were supposed to go to Adam
Go to
Vingan
Vingan?
instead.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Instead the winner of the
Sure.
league
Yeah.
gets something.
Sure.
Okay.
I think that'd be great.
Let's do it.
Just have Porth deliver him. He received a lot of flack for giving Vinnigan a gift card a couple weeks ago. So just keep it up, Porth.
I will.
All right, so 7 spots remaining in our fantasy football league. And now is the time for you to hit up our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. A lot of the trivia questions will be related to the show. And as you know, if you've listened to the show, Joe's son Brennan is a big-time Detroit Lions fan.
But it's shifting, I think.
It's starting to shift. And that leads to today's trivia question. Which Titans jersey does Joe's son Brennan want him to purchase? Which Titans jersey, which member of the Titans does Joe's son Brennan want him to purchase? Yes. If you know the answer of the jersey that Brennan wants, hit up our text line. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. If you get it correct, you're eligible to be a part of our Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League. Now, if today you are not contacted and you did not win, don't freak out. You will have 6 more opportunities to get in on the league. We will be doing this for the next 6 days here on the show after today as well. So still lots of chances to get in on the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League.
Name yourself, please.
Yes.
There are responses.
Yes.
Must have name yourself so we know who you are.
Make sure that your name.
We can't have an anonymous
Now,
team.
We can't have an anonymous team. Now, if you were first and you were unnamed on the text line, we will get to you and get your name. But already some answers rolling in. Already some correct answers rolling in. So we'll get an update on that coming up a little bit later here in the show to see who is the next member of our Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League. A lot of answers. A lot of correct answers rolling in. Very good.
Looks like this one was easy, too.
Yeah, we may have to get a little bit more difficult as we move forward here. But that means that we have some loyal listeners that have paid attention. So that's good.
Here's one. Well, I would mess. We can't use it now, but let's see if you guys can get this one.
Okay.
What Green Bay Packers quarterback's jersey did I have as a child?
Oh, gosh.
Brett Favre.
Yeah.
How old do you think I am, buddy? I wish I was that young.
I said it because you're the biggest fan of Brett Favre.
Huge.
I mean,
I've talked about this.
the one that makes sense is Bart Starr, but it's probably not Bart Starr because it's too obvious.
For whatever reason, the main thing was I got my Billy Sims jersey, which is what I wanted. But then I got 2 other NFL jerseys randomly. One of them was a Lynn Dickey jersey.
That's right. Yeah.
Great. Thanks for the Lynn Dickey jersey. But it was cool. It's like a Packers jersey, you know.
Did you wear it?
So I mean, in 4th grade, I absolutely
You're a cheesehead.
wore. In 4th grade, well, there was that did not exist back then. But I absolutely wore a Packers jersey to school sometimes with Dickey on the name.
Yes.
On the back. What was the other one? Oh, it's Tony Dorsett.
Okay.
I had Cowboys Tony Dorsett too.
Pretty good one to have.
It is, except I hate the Cowboys. But yeah.
Who do you hate more, the Packers or the Cowboys? Sure, that was tough when growing
as
up.
I grew up, I learned I hate the Packers
Right.
a lot. Brett Favre to Sterling Sharp. I mean, that was, Hey, we don't need to cover that guy. It's late in the game, holding on to a lead, playoffs. Just beat that team for the division. We're at home, loudest stadium ever. We don't need to cover Sterling Sharp. Sure. No big deal.
No scars for Joe Rexrode.
Yeah.
Looks like
that was a key moment in disavowing the Lions. Go ahead.
Looks like we have the name of the first person who texted in.
Okay. Who
John.
is it? John. So the correct answer of Julio Jones.
John from?
As the jersey. John from?
He gave his last name. We don't have a location
Okay,
yet.
that's all right. Cool. John, today's winner.
You're not going to say his last name on the air?
Well,
We'll get John's information on that front. So Jacob added yesterday John, the winner today. So we will have 6 more opportunities for you to join our Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League.
Some biblical names so far.
Yeah, there are some biblical names.
You'll be my disciples of football. Poor thought that was funny, but he muted himself.
Well done, Joe Rexrode. That was very good. Joe, you brought up a name earlier that I am interested to see as the Titans take on the Falcons in the preseason game tomorrow, and that is Darrington Evans. Obviously, been getting a lot of reps at training camp so far, with Derrick Henry being a very limited participant. What are your expectations for Darrington Evans in this game, and what are you most looking to see out of Evans, whether that's in the passing game, the running game, whatever answer comes to mind when it comes to Darrington Evans in the preseason game against the Falcons?
This is one of those things where I feel like I'm seeing something and maybe others aren't, or they're just, there's other things that you're focusing on, but I feel like he's looked really good. I think one of the big things, as Vrabel brought up yesterday, pass protection. That's a huge part. I mean, that's why Jeremy McNichols, along with the fact that Evans was hurt last year, but they trusted Jeremy McNichols. They're like 3rd and 9. Jeremy McNichols is going to read things correctly, and he's going to give you decent pass protection, and you have to be able to do that. You have to be unpredictable in that way too, as a 3rd down back. So I think that's a big thing for Evans, but the guy is explosive. He's fast. He stands out to me, certainly, among all the backs who are playing, because obviously Derrick Henry isn't playing. And I feel like as a runner of the football, and of course, as I'm writing this, I'm going to post my little article on The Athletic about Darrington Evans trying to learn how to be a runner in this offense. And
TheAthletic.com.
Thank you. And Derrick Henry, helping him work on that.
Did you know Joe writes for The Athletic?
Thank you very much. I think that Darrington Evans can be more than a 3rd down back. I mean, I think he can. He's not going to split time or anything like that. He's not going to be like Deion Lewis, is starting over Derrick Henry in 2018,
blocking people on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No one could be that good at block. He needs to block pass rushers. He will not be blocking like Deion Lewis level on Twitter, I wouldn't think. But I think he looks good around the ball. He gets to the edge quickly. Now, in this outside zone scheme, a lot of it is, sometimes you can outrun your lane, and that happens a lot. And so there's a lot of little things that go into it. But I think he's a really interesting player this year, underrated, under-discussed, and we'll see how much work he gets. Like, is he a guy who they want to see a lot from tomorrow? Or is it like, well, McNichols, Brian Hill, you guys carry the mail. What's so funny?
Now,
I'll tell you during the break.
in your story, Joe, just a piece of advice: don't make it sound like Darrington Evans is going to be RB1.
This
season, like you did with Nick Westbrook-Akina being WR2.
Are you serious?
Just be clear.
Did you really just say that?
Just make sure that's clear in there.
Yeah. Okay, PK.
Let's go to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in Ray from Coopertown, who has a story for Joe. Ray, welcome into Robby and Rexrode.
Hey, guys, thank you for taking my call. Hey, Joe, just talking about the old Packers. Lynn Dickey sucked really bad, but
yeah.
Since you hate them so much, and since I lucked into a couple of season tickets when I lived in northern Wisconsin in 91, 92, 93. Never
Magic
my name,
Man.
of course. But I was at the game. All these years in Green Bay, they are always talking about how the Lions hadn't won there in 20 years. I was at that last game that they won, and that was the below zero game when Mel Gray ran back the punt in the fourth quarter to give you guys the division.
Wow. Okay. So right in that time period, you're talking about the Magic Man, Don Mikowski.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Right
I think it
before
was
Favre.
91, and I think it was the end of the 91 season, and that would have been Mikowski, I think, was hurt all year and then got hurt in game one of the next year, and that's when was Brett Favre's first game, and I was there for that one.
When old Brett came in there.
There he was.
And there's history ever since then.
That's a great story, Ray. Appreciate that. Appreciate the call.
thanks for the
Don't
call, Ray.
ever
Appreciate
say
it.
you guys, though. I do not associate myself with the Detroit Lions.
So I just thought you would remember the Mel Gray punt.
Mel
return, 'cause
Gray, I do. That's a great memory. Mel Gray was incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And
Incredible.
I remember it, too, because it was the coldest day of my life.
I bet it was. I bet it was.
I hope you had some schnapps going
That's
that day, Ray.
Thanks, guys.
All
Ray,
right,
thanks for the
Ray.
call. We appreciate it. When we come back, we'll have another buy or sell edition for the Tennessee Titans. I've got more to get to. We'll get Joe and Port's thoughts on that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Tune into Nashville Sounds Baseball tonight on ESPN 94.9 as the Sounds take on Louisville, the AAA affiliate of the Cincinnati Reds. The pregame show with Jeff Him starts at 5:15 and first pitch is at 5:30. Nashville Sounds Baseball on ESPN 94.9, presented by 312 Pizza Company and Farm Bureau Health Plans. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5. The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ryan Porth here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Talking Titans. Taking your thoughts on the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. And another edition of Buy or Sell for the Titans coming up. We did that earlier in the week as well. And I'm going to pick up where I left off on my list, Joe Rexrode. Let's go through this. Harold Landry finishes with 6.5 sacks or more. Harold Landry. 6.5 sacks or more. He had 5.5 a year ago. He had 9 2 years ago. 6.5 sacks or more for Harold Landry this year. Joe Rexrode, do you buy or do you sell?
Yeah, I'll buy that. Add the Game. Add Bud Dupree. Add Danico Autry. I'll buy that. I think Landry
No, he's working on different pass rush moves right now.
He is. He's not allowed to use his outside speed move where he dips and which has gotten him home a few times, but also it's his go-to for sure. So It's interesting. Be interesting to see if he can develop that second move that really works for him. But yeah, I'll buy. I think he's going to be around 8 sacks.
Ryan Porth, Harold Landry, 6.5 sacks or more. 6.5 sacks or more. Do you buy or do you sell from Harold Landry?
That's an instant buy. I think that number is too low.
Okay. So
if you went 7.5, I think that would be pushing it a little bit more.
Okay.
But over 6.5, since he has some competence on the other side of the pass rush, I will go over.
We think. I'll go over as well.
Yeah, we think.
Yeah. I will buy as well. I say 8 sacks for Harold Landry this year, which if you told me right now he would get 8 sacks, probably sign up for that.
That was the number I was thinking of too.
Probably sign up for that. All right. Jeffrey Simmons makes the Pro Bowl this year. Do you buy or do you sell Jeffrey Simmons in the Pro Bowl for the Tennessee Titans?
Buy.
That was a quick buy from Ryan Porth.
I buy it. I buy it because assuming that they don't make it to the Super Bowl, he has multiple chances to either get in on the first wave or the second wave of people that are named to the Pro Bowl.
Okay.
And I think he will be good enough this year where if he doesn't make it on the first wave, if, say, Kansas City makes it to the Super Bowl and Chris Jones doesn't go to the Pro Bowl because of that, then Jeffrey Simmons can fill in for him if he's not on the roster already.
Does that count?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, then I'll buy. I mean, I still feel like when you ask, is this player going to be a Pro Bowler? I think of the first wave.
Right.
But if my hesitation with Simmons, I think he looks good. I think, again, if he's healthy, I think he can be very good. It's just if you're on a bad defense, doesn't help you.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to be on a bad defense. I don't think he's going to be on a great defense. So I hesitate there, but I think Porth's probably right. I mean, how many people at his position right now are clear in the AFC? Clearly, you got Buckner.
Yep.
Jones. Mm-hmm. I'm going to miss some people. There's some good. I mean, there's good players at every position. But I feel like he's actually built up because a lot of it's rep.
Well, we talked about the list
recognition
that Jeremy Fowler put out there. They have an executive that Jeremy Fowler is quoted saying Jeffrey Simmons is the closest thing in the league to Aaron Donald.
Yeah. Right. And that again, that's part of the rep that it makes a difference.
Yeah,
and stuff
absolutely.
Like that. So yeah, buy.
I will buy as well. I expect a big season from Jeffrey Simmons.
Big Jeff is like 60-1 for Defensive Player of the Year. Just throwing that out there.
60-1 for Defensive Player of the Year.
Don't think I haven't dabbled on that.
Well, if he's that, then
his defense in
watch
good shape.
out.
That's right. All right, the Tennessee Titans sweep the Indianapolis Colts. The Tennessee Titans sweep the Indianapolis Colts. Do
Sell.
you buy or do you sell?
Yeah.
Sell.
I'll sell too.
I'll buy.
Okay.
I'm not a big believer in Carson Wentz and the Colts. Just not. Looks like there's some ghosts from the past over there from Ryan Porth creeping their way back in.
Big time sell.
There was zero hesitation there. And I guarantee you, I know where Ryan Porth is going to pick the Colts to win.
Week 3.
Right here in Nashville, week 3.
I mean, they could have Sam Ehlinger starting at quarterback in that game, and they'll probably win.
I mean, they didn't win with Jacoby Brissett in this stadium because, Marcus Mariota was too good.
Yeah, well, they won with Old Man Rivers going dink, 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 dink.
Yeah.
Dink.
Hall of Famer. Threw for 4,200 yards
last time
year.
Brissett was in this stadium, the Colts did win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
That was the day the field got set on fire.
Yeah. Now, there's a grease fire.
Yes.
That was the day. Well, that was the Eddie George, Steve McNair day.
Yeah.
Don't want to do that day with the Colts.
No, probably not.
Colts coming in. But I think this may be the year the Titans win the home game. I'm gonna say it's a split with the Colts winning their home game the day after Halloween.
Okay.
By the way, Simmons is 100-1.
So not 60-1.
Correct.
Okay, I was
Even
about to say,
better.
60 sounded pretty high. Josh Reynolds finishes third on the team in receptions. Third on the team in receptions. Josh Reynolds.
Sell.
Do you buy or do you sell?
Sell.
Before training camp, would you have bought or would you have sold?
I would have thought about it, but Ferkser is going to get catches, and
Sure.
the guy we just been talking about. Could Darrington Evans have like 40 catches this year?
He could.
And also, by the way, could Marcus Johnson have more catches this year than Josh Reynolds? Yes, he could. This could end up being a total here's another training camp overreaction deal, but he could.
You think Evans could have 40 catches this year?
Yeah, sure. Think that's outlandish?
I mean, that's averaging more than 2 a game.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I
know.
guess the question would be, are you taking Derrick Henry off the field that much?
Right.
Would be the question. I don't know.
I think you are going to see at times both of them on the field. Now, I don't know how much, but I think at times. See some different things. We talked about in the spring, Evans splitting out a lot. I think you're going to see that some. I think you're going to see 32 all over the field. How often are they going to utilize him? I don't know. But he's got a burst.
Danico Autry finishes with 6 sacks or more. Danico Autry finishes with 6 sacks or more. He had 7.5 last year. Do you buy or do you sell? It's a tough one.
I'm going to sell. I think he can have a really good year and maybe be around 4 or 5. 6 is asking a lot. It does sound like, and Shane Bowen talked about this week, they really look at him as a third down factor. It's not like he's just here to, he's not here to be like Daquan Jones,
right?
Who's just a run-down guy. I mean, they want him on the field in those situations, so he'll have opportunities, but I think 6 might be a little high.
7.5 a year ago. Now.
3 the year before that.
3 the year before that.
So
9 the year before that.
It's just hard. It's hard at that position. I mean, Jeffrey Simmons could be Defensive Player of the Year level and get 2, right? I mean, It's possible. I mean, what's Aaron Donald? What are his sack numbers?
Well, his are actually pretty good.
I mean, they're pretty high.
His are pretty good.
But not every year, right?
I
I know one year he had a monster like everything.
13.5 last year. And he's
had double digits the last 4 years.
He's had 13.5, 12.5, then 20.5 in 2018.
Okay, never mind. Scratch my entire comment.
Then
there.
11 the year before that, 8 and 11. He's never had fewer than 8 in his entire career.
I forgot. Oh, that's right. He's absolutely no one should be compared to him. You know what I mean?
No.
It's insane.
That is,
But Jeffrey Simmons, I still stand by. He could be very good this year and not have many sacks.
yes. Ryan Porth, do you buy or sell Danico Autry? 6 sacks or more?
I will sell that.
I'll sell that as well.
He also has not played a full season in the last 3 years.
Yes.
So
but in 2 of those times has finished with more than 6 sacks.
This is true. Just
throwing that out there. I will sell as well, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good number.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's what I'm here for.
You set some good over-unders here.
He was really good in Indy, but my worry as a sometimes cynical Titans fan is that he's going to come in and not do anything with the pass rush because nobody does anything with the pass rush in a Titans uniform.
So you predicting a little Vic Beasley?
No.
To Nico Autry?
God, no.
No
one is Vic Beasley.
I'm just asking.
How many times in your life have you said no one in a Titans uniform is ever good at receiver?
A lot.
A lot.
As of about 3 years ago, a lot.
Yes.
Now they have 2 of the best in the league.
Things can change, Ryan.
This is true. Thank you for bringing some sunshine.
That's right.
That's what I'm here for.
We will continue with Titans buy or sell coming up next, and then also get to a nice bit of photography from Joe Rexrode yesterday at Titans practice as well. All that coming up. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Going to have Barton Simmons from Vanderbilt Football, the GM of Vanderbilt Football, coming up to begin the 8 o'clock hour. So looking forward to that. Right now doing Titans buy or sell. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode, Ryan Porth. The next question on Titans buy or sell is this. The Tennessee Titans are the biggest threat to Kansas City in the AFC. The Titans are the biggest threat to Kansas City in the AFC. Do you buy or do you sell? Joe Rexrode, let's start with you.
I'll sell. I've been pretty consistent that I think Buffalo is the next best team. I don't think there's a big gap, but I think Buffalo has the right balance. Now, I can look at the Titans and say, maybe the ceiling, the upside with Julio and just with the offensive weaponry. Like, what's the way to beat Kansas City? Is it not that you just have to have an incredible offensive day and outscore them on a particular day? Look, maybe not. Maybe you can. Well, if you're the Tampa Bay Bucks,
their whole offensive line can get hurt.
Right.
That can help.
If you have an incredible pass rush going against a injury-riddled offensive line, that's a way to beat them. But that's probably not going to happen this year. So I could buy that the Titans on one day could have the ingredients to do it, but I think that the Bills are a better team.
Ryan Porth, do you buy or do you sell the Titans as the biggest threat to Kansas City in the AFC?
Today I'm going to sell it.
Okay.
But I reserve.
Sounds like there's room for changing your mind.
I reserve the right 3 months from now to buy that.
3 months?
Yeah.
So mid-November.
Yeah, that's like halfway through a 17-game season.
All right.
And if halfway through the pass rush is improving the Titans' defense, then I would probably buy that, assuming that the offense doesn't take a big step back.
If they beat the Colts at home, you're gonna lock up your Super Bowl tickets and flight to LA.
I mean, screw that. I'm going to get the tattoo.
Yeah. Just get it out there.
Put the tattoo on my calf.
Nice.
I'm buying it. I've alluded to this, and we'll save a more detailed breakdown of this for our season predictions when we do those. I'm not really as high on the Buffalo Bills as everybody else. There's a lot of love going around for the Buffalo Bills. I get it. I understand why. They had a great season last year. How often do you see a team like that get back to the AFC title game? We're having very similar conversations about the Titans last year. I'm buying the Titans. Biggest threat to Kansas City.
Okay.
We'll get a little bit more into that when season predictions roll around, but I'm not as high on the Buffalo Bills as everybody else.
And no love for the Browns, huh? How about the Browns?
The Browns. What about the Browns?
I'm buying them. I'm buying them as very good.
Yeah. All right, buy or sell. Mike Vrabel wins AFC Coach of the Year. Mike Vrabel, AFC Coach of the Year. Last year's winner, Kevin Stefanski for the Browns.
I thought it was an NFL
I know.
Coach of the Year.
I thought so too. They do conference Coach of the Year?
Apparently.
Huh.
Well, we can even change the conversation to NFL Coach of the Year if you want to.
I'll sell. I think usually it's just like Urban Meyer didn't win Big Ten Coach.
Right.
Usually, and it's not like Vrabel has the team everybody expects to win the Super Bowl, but
right.
It's hard to exceed expectations, I think. And there's gonna be somebody in the AFC who exceeds expectations. Maybe it's, although if it's the Patriots, will Belichick win that award? Actually, he probably would.
Yeah, he might.
Like it'll be a team that exceeds expectations that aren't very high. The Titans' expectations are pretty darn high,
but they're high here. I would argue they're not high nationally.
Not as high.
Not as high. So if the Titans end up as the 2 seed in the AFC, could that not be a pretty strong case there for Mike Vrabel to win Coach of the Year?
If they're 2 seed and they're like 13-4, yeah, something like that. Yeah, you'd have a shot. Sure. But I just like somebody like the Dolphins are going to go 11-6, or
right?
Something,
but you know, Andy Reid, outside of going 17-0 this year, there's probably nothing Andy Reid can do to win Coach of the Year because expectations are what they are.
Yep.
Like I feel like if the Titans end up as one of the top couple of teams in the AFC, Mike Vrabel absolutely could win Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people slot them behind Bills, Browns, and Ravens.
Agreed.
So if they're ahead of 2 of those 3, and again, I think they'd have to win 13.
It's a high bar.
It's a high bar.
Ryan
So,
wow.
Brandon Staley with the Chargers going to win AFC Coach of the Year.
Is he going to do that when they go 8-9?
Chargers guy, huh? Big Chargers guy.
Is he going to do that when they go 8-9?
You mean like 10-7?
No, I mean 8-9. I'm not buying this Chargers love. I don't
Justin
get it.
Herbert, baby.
He's fine. I don't get.
I mean, I think they could be pretty good, but
He's fine.
it's a little bit overblown. I would agree that that's a great example.
That's an example of what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes. But you know what? There's a whole bunch of people saying that about the Chargers too. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people who have them in the playoffs, and I'm like, pump the brakes a little bit.
All right, the final question on buy or sell for the Titans. A Tennessee Titan gets votes for MVP this year. Do you buy or do you sell? That could be Henry. That could be Tannehill. That could be A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, whoever you want. A Tennessee Titan gets votes for MVP this year.
I'm going to sell. I think Henry is going to have a good year. I think he's got a great chance to lead the league in rushing. I don't think he's going to approach 2,000. I think it's going to be spread around. And so I don't think one player is going to have the kind of outrageous numbers that would be required to be in that hunt.
Okay.
The top how many get votes? 5?
I think so.
Buy.
Board's a buyer.
Yeah?
I think Derrick Henry or Tannehill will get at least one vote.
I think Tannehill's going to get a vote, huh? I think Tannehill could have the greatest quarterback season ever and still not get a vote, but maybe I'm cynical.
Maybe you are a little bit
Maybe
cynical.
a little bit.
I will sell. And I had to think long and hard about it because I think Derrick Henry is going to have another fantastic year. But at the end of the day, I think we've learned it is a quarterback award for MVP, and I just don't think Tannehill's going to find himself in that mix. Even though you can make an argument, last couple of years, maybe he should have found himself in that mix. I don't think he will, so I will sell.
Justin Herbert will.
Justin Herbert might.
Oh, of course.
Of course he will.
Chargers going to the Super Bowl.
That's right.
Stay home. Chargers Rams.
That's right.
An all LA event.
That's right. Joe Rexrode, you took quite the photo yesterday at Tennessee Titans training camp. We discussed earlier in the week Paul Kaharski and A.J. Brown, the back and forth. I guess back and forth is not a good way to describe it. Paul Kaharski tweeting out the Josh Reynolds clip, saying there's lack of explosiveness there, and then A.J. Brown calling him out on Twitter, defending his teammate. Looked like there was kind of a mea culpa yesterday, and A.J. Brown extending a hand to shake Paul Kaharski's hand.
But let's make sure we have it right. Kaharski called him over there. I was actually behind Paul. He's walking by those guys on the bike, and I saw that they were kind of talking, and AJ laughed, and then so Paul reached out. They talked. My incredible photography skills got AJ's hand out, but Paul's wasn't out yet. So,
yes.
So then on Twitter, I tweet 2 funny joke tweets. The one is like AJ Brown being classy, and then I said, Kaharski. Surprisingly, he didn't extend his hand because he said, sorry, that handshake doesn't look explosive enough. There were actually a couple of people who thought that
was actually serious.
This again tells you what a great place Twitter is.
Twitter's awesome.
But meanwhile, Kaharski, God, you whiner, Kaharski. He feels like it's like, people are all over him. He's all mad at me about this. Like, dude, we're having fun. We're having fun with this stuff. So it's just... I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do without Paul for a couple days now.
But it looks like he and AJ are okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, again, none of this.
I don't think it was ever.
None
really
of this
that
was
big
a big
of
deal. And I'm sorry that there's people on Twitter who want Kaharski dead or whatever. There's some Titans fans who cannot handle people who aren't sunshiny all the time about their team. That's just how it is. There's people on Twitter who say a lot of stuff that he's just mute, just going to mute fest. But yeah, I mean. I honestly didn't think this was some big AJ show. I mean, good for him. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised the air was cleared.
Sure.
Nothing wrong with what Paul did in any of this stuff other than getting all upset because he doesn't think that other media people defend him, which is whatever, man. It's all fine.
It's all good. But
yes, the photography, I mean, let's be honest, I'm not very good at shooting video or photos. But the fact that I just randomly, we were interviewing Marcus Johnson. I saw him, and I was like, I got to take a shot of that. The fact that I actually got it right then with just AJ's hand out and not Paul's.
Expert timing on your
And
part.
plus someone on Twitter closed in on AJ's hand, and it actually, it looks like he's doing the duck thing for the projector.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like art.
It is. It's very good stuff on your part. When we come back, we'll be joined by Barton Simmons, general manager of Vanderbilt football. Looking forward to that conversation coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, live from the Wholesaling Studios, powered by RumbleOn.com, here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, hour number 3 of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ryan Porth here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Fall camp underway for the Vanderbilt Commodores. And to help us talk about that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in Vanderbilt football general manager Barton Simmons. Barton, what's going on, man? How we doing?
Good morning, guys. Doing well. How are you?
We're doing great.
Good.
Appreciate you taking time to join us here today. And Barton, we got a lot to get into it with you here today here on the show. But I just want to start with your transition into your new role as GM of Vanderbilt football. How did that come about, and what has that process been like as you enter into year 1 with Clark Lee and Vanderbilt?
Man, it's kind of incredible that I've been here like 7 months. It's gone by. Feels like a couple weeks. It's just been a whirlwind. It's been a blast. This has been really just a joy to be in this building and be around these players and really these coaches. So really, I've really enjoyed being around this coaching staff. Just kind of the way this group operates together. It's really low ego, really collaborative, and just sort of, to me, it's like you're just constantly solving problems, and constantly sort of critically thinking, and it's just a fun, rewarding way to get through a day, and it's been different for sure. I think my wife is probably sitting here in the thick of preseason camp being like, what in the hell did I sign up for? But aside from that, it's been the time of my life so far. So I've enjoyed it.
You are at home more, though, right? In the course of a year doing this than what you were doing before?
Travel, yeah. There's less travel than a typical year in my previous gig. But the hours in the office are have been a little bit jarring. But look, she's been awesome. She's been a trooper. What's really cool about our staff is it's a bunch of coaches that are in a similar phase of life. We got a lot of young kids. It's a really, quickly built sort of a community and a gang of kids that love playing together. So there's a lot of perks to it as well on the family side.
So within those hours, give us sort of a basic general day for you, film, calls, meetings, like how does it look? Does it look way different from one day to the next?
Yeah, well, it's sort of seasonal. June was just it was everything from organizing and helping run sort of the on-campus evaluations where guys would come in and get workouts in. You're constantly hosting visitors. You're planning for camp for the weekend. You're rehashing camp from the weekend before. You're planning official visits. It's just sort of this mad rush of activity from a recruiting standpoint. Right now, it's a little more of I spend time watching our practice tape with our personnel department. I spend a lot of time with our coaches, sort of going through our roster, talking about our recruiting board. Building out our walk-on list right now is something that's a priority. Getting positioned for the fall. Really working with our recruiting team, our scouting team, and kind of being a connector with the coaching staff as well. It's been awesome. Again, it sort of depends on the season in terms of what my days look like. But there's a lot of different sort of areas of the program that I'm able to just be around and kind of soak up information from. I've learned a lot, and I'm kind of continuing to try to pick everybody's brain in this building every day to help me continue to settle into this role.
So, Barton, what's the excitement level like now that fall camp is here? You mentioned, 7 months, kind of feeling like a couple of weeks, and with everything going on, I'm sure it's been a whirlwind. But to get to fall camp where football is about to be played, what do you make of the team that you've got coming in here, and what's it been like so far for you guys over at Vanderbilt in fall camp?
Well, it's been awesome, and these players have been. I think they've really been stressed and pressed in a way that they never have before. Just in terms of, this summer workouts were a grind. The winter workouts were a grind. And right now, even just through 5 days of camp, these guys are being pushed in ways that they haven't, and so it's been really fun to see those guys embrace it. One of the things that I think is really true about and refreshing and exciting about this team is that they've really embraced this new coaching staff and this new culture. Like, they're bought in. And so, that's going to give us a chance. That's going to give us a starting point that we can really build off of. And so the energy around practice has been really good. We're continuing trying to sort of press this team to find, new levels of strain and hit new limits. But man, they've really bought into what Coach Lee and this staff have tried to push for them, and that's been fun to see. And so, again, I think that's been the best part about all this is just watching this group, occupying the same spaces with different expectations and not flinching.
So, Barton, I know you can't talk about recruits, until they sign, but things, by all accounts, have been going very well on the recruiting trail for you guys overall. I know it wasn't that long ago Vanderbilt was ranked in the top 25. I know, someone in your shoes now is like, well, that may not mean too much, but it does seem like there's momentum and prospects who you guys are targeting who are being receptive. And I know it's a new coaching staff and everything, and there's momentum, but you're still talking about a team coming off an 0-9 season. How would you just, in general terms, assess this class, and how has that been put together so far?
Yeah, I mean, we're thrilled about our class so far. And I think one of the things that's exciting is, we'll find out whether we know what we're doing or not. But I mean, the guys that we want are the guys that we're getting for the most part, and that's sort of regardless of what they're ranked, regardless of what their other offers are. I mean, the guys that we've sort of circled and said that their priorities have really bought into the messaging from Coach Lee, and I think that's an important part of it for us. Is really, I'm sitting in my office right now, and I've got a big whiteboard, and the one thing that stays on the whiteboard at all times is you get what you sell. It's written in big letters. You get what you sell, and so we're going to sell this program in a really authentic way. We're going to sell it as a place that's going to be really hard, a place that's going to be about hard work. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be, a place where you need to embrace being a high achiever in all areas of life. It's going to be about, it's not about downtown and Broadway. It's about the hard work that goes into that practice field. And so with us sort of delivering that message and not trying to sell some sort of flash and glitz and glamour, we're hopeful that we're attracting players that are attracted to that, which is going to, I think, build the right kind of culture here. And so, the guys that we've identified and the guys that we've gotten on campus and the guys that we've gotten to camp, a lot of those guys have really sort of connected with the vision that Coach Lee has articulated, and it's been exciting. And so we'll see. Again, maybe these guys get on campus and they're not what we thought they were, but man, we sure are excited about what we gotten coming up this class, and we're trying to continue to build on it.
Vanderbilt football GM Barton Simmons on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And Barton, with that in mind, obviously name, image, and likeness a huge topic of conversation in college athletics right now. How does the new NIL laws coming into effect maybe change the way you guys operate? How do you use NIL to your advantage if you're Vanderbilt?
Well, it's going to be really interesting, and I think anybody that sort of knows exactly how it's going to play out is lying to you or acts like they do. I think I'll be fascinated to see how this evolves. Where kind of the way I see it and the way we sort of position it here at Vanderbilt, and what I believe to be true, is that you could look at it on the surface and say, hey, Nashville, big city, Titans, Preds, all this going on here. It's a great opportunity. But look, you go to some small town, college town, and there's only one show in town, and you get the big deal in the car dealership, and it's sort of easy pickings for NIL. But like here in Nashville, there's 50,000 businesses. Here in Nashville, there's so many different ways to get connected with partners. There's so many different ways to grow your brand. there's so many different resources, and there's so many different resources on this Vanderbilt campus, whether that be in our business school, whether that be with our professors, whether that be with the Entrepreneur Center in Nashville. There's just so many different resources at your disposal in this place. And so, look, right now, what we got to do is wipe away that 0-9 record. That what we got to do is win football games. And as soon as we start doing that, I really think that the NIL opportunities in this city are going to be endless. And so we're excited about that. We think that's going to be a position of strength for us. And obviously we're excited and encouraging of these guys to go and capitalize on that as best that they can, while still staying connected to what is true about this place, which is that this is going to be a place that's about team, that's about the culture in this building. And so, I really believe that with those two things sort of operating simultaneously, we got a chance for something special.
And obviously another big piece, Barton, to recruiting his facilities. Some debate over how big of a deal. I guess I've been told, you may not win recruiting battles with facilities, but you can lose them because of your facilities. What do you think about that? How much are the oncoming facilities, part of the discussion with recruits? And I guess how excited are you also just about having, a new football building and all the things that come with that?
Yeah, it's we talk about it all the time in this place that right now we've got the best facilities in college football because they're ours. I mean, it's sort of what it is what you make it. We take pride in this place that we have right now. We've got everything we need in this building right now to win every game we play. We've got a weight room. We got 2 practice fields, an indoor. We've got a team meeting room. We've got all the video equipment we need. Like we've got everything we need to win every football game we play here. And so facilities to us don't really matter. But what's exciting is that now we can really talk about this being a moment in time for Vanderbilt football because of the facilities coming, and not because of what that'll mean for our capability to put a different product on the field, not even because of what it'll mean for recruiting, and it's going to help in recruiting, don't get me wrong, but in how we can position that building and what that building means for the future of Vanderbilt football, because all it represents is support. It represents a commitment from the administration, from the university, from the community, from the alumni base. And so, when Vanderbilt in its history has been sort of piddling along and having these sort of dips and starts about what it means to be successful, all along it's been working against, at times, an administration that wasn't really fully bought into given the resources that it needs to be on an equal playing field with the rest of the conference. Well, now we've got that. Now we don't have any more excuses. Now we're going to have the best facility in college football and an administration that's fully behind us, an athletic director that's awesome and supportive, and a head coach that's got a vision, of 15 and 20 years down the road. And so it's an easy message to sell right now to recruits as the tide is turning in this place, and we really believe it to be true.
Well, Barton, we're really excited to see things get fired up here in a couple of weeks on the field, and excited to see the work you guys continue to put in as we go down the stretch here. We appreciate you taking time to join us this morning.
Yeah, guys, always a pleasure. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Barton Simmons, Vanderbilt football general manager, has been our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll come back. We'll react to a couple of things he had to say there. Taking your thoughts as well on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025, The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5. The Game. That's a new one. Streaming live on Periscope, on YouTube, and on Twitch.
102.5 The Grain?
The Grain.
A little like farming radio?
Yeah.
That could be cool.
I'll give you some advice.
Watch out for...
We do some farming out in Greenbrier.
Watch out for that asteroid.
Yeah.
I mean,
2184.
Yeah.
We are playing the Field of Dreams game tonight.
That is true. There is some grain out there.
Lots of grain out in
Lots of grain in Iowa.
in the outfield.
That is correct.
Farmageddon.
Are we disappointed that the walls have been put up in the Field of Dreams? Just let the cornfield flow, baby. We don't need any walls. If you lose a couple baseballs, it is what it is. But there's no need to have walls at the Field of Dreams.
Just let Aaron Judge dive for a home run ball, and if he disappears in the corn, then
He'll get back out of there eventually. Yeah, it'll be fine.
Ty Cobb drags him to hell.
Could be.
What if he dives for a ball? What if Aaron Judge dives for a home run ball, disappears in the corn, and then comes back as Mickey Mantle?
Well, didn't we
Moonlight Graham.
Yes.
Or Terrence Mann?
Yeah.
So you've seen this movie? Very good.
He watched it last night.
Literally said in the first segment this morning that I watched it last night for like the 10th time.
You expect me to remember something from 2 hours ago?
Yes, I do.
Come on.
I do, Joe.
Know me better than that.
Is James Earl Jones and Kevin Costner going to be at this thing?
There's already a video circulating on Twitter of Kevin Costner walking out into the new Field of Dreams and just being speechless.
Okay.
And just being like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Need to get James Earl Jones there.
Baseball.
He is 90 years old, so
Yeah.
they have better things to do. But
Yeah, that would
People
be cool.
will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
did you know that James Earl Jones is the voice of Darth Vader?
Is he really?
Yeah. Do you see what I'm talking about?
Seriously?
I've never seen Star Wars.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it's a great voice.
Let's not forget Timothy Busfield.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was the
It's a good movie, man.
annoying brother-in-law who tried to get himself. And a graduate of?
I'm sure Michigan State.
That's right.
There you go. Thanks to Barton
Big
Simmons.
acting tradition. Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Timothy
Long,
Busfield.
long, rich history.
Yeah.
Thanks to Barton Simmons from Vanderbilt Football for joining us in the last segment. Magoogs on Periscope says, don't know what the output will be, but this Vanderbilt football program has A-plus people and process. I got to say, I agree. I have no clue what this is going to look like on the field. I have no clue whether or not they're going to be able to recruit to a level that it seems in the early returns that they are, and that if they're going to be able to sustain that or not. I've been pretty impressed with Clark Lee and so far Barton Simmons as well, with the messaging coming out of there, some of the reports you've heard from practice. Like I think this program right now is in good hands. Now, what that ultimately means in terms of bottom line, I don't know, because it's Vanderbilt football and it's very difficult to project. But I got to say, I've been pretty impressed by what I've seen thus far from Clark Lee and his staff.
I mean, I don't know how, if you're watching them closely, how you wouldn't be impressed with all of those asterisks applied, because you have to. You have to be cautious, expecting too much from Vanderbilt football. But they're getting results too. I mean, this recruiting class is, there are kids who are being pursued by other good schools, and of course, you've got a top edge player who was a Notre Dame commit who has switched. Kid from Georgia. Two mutes for you, my
They've both
friend.
been with me saying yep.
Yep.
So I just got to stop saying yep. I'm just going to shut up while you're talking.
But yeah, good class. I mean, the fact that, like right now, the highest ranked class ever. James Franklin just missed a top 25 class, but the second highest ranked. So we had this the other day, and this is Mitch Light. Looked this up. My editor at the Athletic, Vanderbilt legend Mitch Light. The second highest ranked class ever was Derek Mason's 2018 class, which actually has a lot of key players on this team. So he took advantage and he did some good things. And again, he had limitations that now are not going to be there for Clark Lee. I mean, it's a convergence of things. It's a moment in time that makes it very interesting. I'm pretty impressed that they're doing this and impressing the recruiting folks to this extent, given 0-9.
Yep. Mike was
Still
on
0-9. Yeah, that's you got that yep in.
Yep. Let's go back to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Thomas texting in. Really like the way Barton speaks about Vandy. Honest and optimistic. He will be a huge reason if Vandy starts to garner some wins on the field. With he and Clark Lee having Nashville roots, the ability to connect with the fan base should come natural, unlike Derek Mason that felt forced. So Thomas is a big fan of Barton Simmons. It is interesting. I was telling you during the break, I never thought that I would get to the point where I would say Vanderbilt football general manager. But bringing in a guy like Barton Simmons with a recruiting background that he has, it's a different approach, and an approach not only that I'm curious to see how it works out for Vanderbilt, but if it works out well for Vanderbilt and Barton Simmons is a huge asset for them, do other programs around the country start to mimic that and start to maybe go that route as well, bringing in guys with maybe an unconventional route to get there, but obviously Clark Lee, Barton Simmons, there's a friendship there anyway, but Clark Lee wouldn't have hired him if he didn't think he could do a good job in this role.
Yeah, like I hear what you're saying, and I mean every program has something like this, although I think there's a little bit different setup, but it's just such a unique thing. One, these guys have been very close friends since they were kids, so they've stayed in touch, and they've both been in the game in different ways for a long time. So they bring tons of relationship and experience, but then, it's just the fact that Barton Simmons did what he did as a recruiting, and you see here and there the media going to a team to be a scout. Lee Jenkins, another Vanderbilt guy who's with the Clippers, for example. You see that some, but I mean, I don't expect like all the recruiting analysts out there to get jobs. Some may, though. There may be more of that, but it's just interesting. His experience, his relationships with high school coaches. So there's some trust built in there that probably a lot of people who come into a job like this they don't have those years of looking at it from that angle, looking at it from the perspective of ranking prospects and evaluating them. But you're not pursuing them. Now you're pursuing them. And, of course, Barton does not go out on the road and recruit. He's not – that's Clark Lee, and that's his coaches who do that. But a lot of this is also analyzing your own roster. And let's face it, and the transfer portal is you have to be on top of things. You have to know, where you need help, and you have to know other rosters too. There's so much about it is going to be the portal and, being able to capitalize on it at times too. Now, I don't know if Vanderbilt, they can't be as active because it's just not that simple to just transfer into Vanderbilt like it is for most other places.
Right.
So they also have to, there's a premium on, being right and finding, you have to find in a lot of cases, the elite student, punch the mic, who also can play at this level. They are out there. There's not a ton of them out there, but if you get more of them than you've been getting, and some of them who used to go to Northwestern or Notre Dame, Duke, whatever, Stanford, you get more of those types of players from around the country, got something cooking.
Well, going back to your point about connecting with high school coaches, we found that's not always an easy process here in the state of Tennessee. That's what we've learned. A lot of coaches have difficulties connecting with high school coaches.
Are you talking about
a few Tennessee coaches of the past?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, there's some. I'll tell you this too. This is gonna be like a weeks long preview of this piece. So far, what I hear from people is mostly positive on what Derek Mason did.
Yeah.
I think Derek Mason did a good job on the recruiting trail, especially when his staff changed. He had a lot of NFL guys on his staff early, and then it was more college-based. I mean, again, he capitalized in 2018. That's not bad. You top 40 class at Vanderbilt. You can win games with that if you develop them well. But can Clark Lee get it to top 30s, in the 30s consistently? And that's still well behind the SEC
Sure.
top teams. I mean, you're not going to match them athlete for athlete, but you might be able to beat them more often if you do everything right.
When we come back, we'll get back into the NFL and ask the question, which former Titan from a year ago is best set up for success in their new spot? We'll get to that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Tomorrow, your chance to participate in the Nashville SC Pick to Click, brought to you by Camarena Tequila. If you guess correctly which player scores a goal in the game Sunday, you win a prize pack and a 4-pack of tickets to an upcoming Nashville SC home game. Participate tomorrow morning at 9:45. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Nate texting in, oh my gosh, Porth. He didn't know James Earl Jones is Vader. This really is a criminal offense by Ryan Porth.
No, it's not.
I mean,
inexcusable.
I think it would be
pretty wild.
I think it would be if I'd seen Star Wars and didn't know that. But I've never seen Star Wars.
But like to Robbie's point during the break, I mean, you've seen a million. Even if you haven't watched the movies, you've seen the Darth Vader saying something somehow a million times in your life.
Well, not a million.
I mean, many.
And it's been many weeks, days, or months since I've seen any videos of that. So, there you go.
Weeks, days, or months.
Okay.
Or
I
years.
just feel like you should know that. That's one of those things, you know.
Iconic voice.
People
James
will
Earl
come,
Jones.
Ray.
Yes.
People will most definitely come.
That's right.
Moonlight Graham.
Didn't you have a story you were supposed to tell?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about my Timothy Busfield story. Thankfully, we're talking about Bennu, the asteroid, and Timothy Busfield today. So Timothy Busfield, here's a pop culture for both of you guys. Little House on the Prairie, anyone?
Yeah,
No?
No.
Okay. I mean, are you aware of it?
I'm aware of it, but no, I'm not.
Okay. Well, this is more. Yeah,
No.
Okay, fine. Why did I even ask Porth? So, very popular show, mostly in the 70s, a little bit into the 80s. My wife's absolute favorite show ever. I love the show, too.
Really?
Melissa Gilbert. What's that?
Favorite show ever?
My wife. I mean, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
She, if you're a certain age, you're a little kid when Little House on the Prairie is on TV. It's a big. If I remember, it was like Sunday nights. It was a big deal. Okay.
All right.
Melissa Gilbert, absolutely, like Katie, just worshipped Melissa Gilbert, who played Laura.
That was like when you were a kid. It was a big deal seeing Charlie Chaplin at the silent movies.
Oh yeah. Okay, man. All right, man. Okay. All right, I'll give you credit for that one. That was pretty good.
Thank you.
Yeah, Laurel and Hardy.
Continue.
Saw them live. It was great. Uncut, unfiltered. So anyway, Timothy Busfield still lives back like home. He's from like East Lansing area. He's married to Melissa Gilbert. And so one time we were at one of our favorite places, which is called Pizza House, great pizza place, and they were there. And Katie was so starstruck. See, she's going to get mad, so I'm probably telling this wrong, but she was a bit starstruck, like, it's Melissa Gilbert right there. I'm like, well, go say something to her. Go say hi to her. And she didn't do it.
Yeah.
She left her alone.
She had her chance.
Which is cool, to leave her alone. But at the same time,
Katie tried to be the normal human.
I bother her. Yeah. But anyway, Timothy Busfield, married to Melissa Gilbert, who played Laura Ingalls Wilder, who wrote all the books about Little House on the Prairie, which led to the TV show, the iconic TV show. And Timothy Busfield is married to her.
As we
so
know,
there you go.
Michigan
the circle
State
of
alum.
life.
Yes, that is correct.
I woke up this morning really wanting to know that information, Joe.
Your life is better now because you know that. Anybody on the text line, let me know if you're a Little House on the Prairie fan.
That's right. Christopher on Periscope. Porth, get out of here. So Porth is now your time to leave. See ya. Have a good day.
He's actually walking out.
He actually walked out of the studio.
Okay, come back.
See you later. All right, so talking Titans, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. And I got to thinking last night, Joe Rexrode, obviously we've talked about the additions to the Titans team a lot so far during training camp. What about the departures? Jonnu Smith, Corey Davis, Malcolm Butler, Adoree Jackson, among others. Which former Titan do you think is in the best position to succeed with their new teams? Which former Titan do you think has the best year this year with their new teams that have since gone out the door?
Well, look, I've been bullish on Jonnu Smith since he was here and since he left, and I think in the right situation he could be really good. Is that the right situation? Who's getting him the ball? Are they going to have a quarterback change at some point during the year? Do they have enough around him? But I think he could have a big year. I mean, that's the first person I think of. But I think Corey Davis could also produce with the Jets. And look, it doesn't hurt that the rookie is apparently lighting up training camp, even if Zach Wilson isn't. Those two guys come to mind.
No Adoree Jackson?
Jonnu. Yeah, I mean, I think Adoree Jackson will be fine. I think he was a pretty good corner here. He had his moments where I thought he was maybe getting to better than pretty good, and then last year, big setback year for him. But I think he will be pretty good for the Giants as long as they can keep from brawling with each other.
Now, we've got a discrepancy we've got to get to the bottom of.
Okay.
Timothy Busfield, the alma mater listed on the Wikipedia page, East Tennessee State University.
Really?
East Tennessee State.
Really?
So what's going on here?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I thought for sure he went. Maybe did he go to both? Did he end up? Did he go to one? Was he start in Michigan and then finish down here?
He was born in Lansing, Michigan, so it makes sense.
And he's back there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know for sure that like Michigan State claims him. East Tennessee,
We just had
ETSU.
Chris pointed that out on the text line, so I had to do some investigative work on that front.
Interesting. Wow.
Anyway, back to the Titans discussion.
That's what it says on Wikipedia, too.
It is.
So.
Exactly. What about Malcolm Butler? Titans going to see him up close and personal, week 1 for the Cardinals. Malcolm Butler, obviously, I thought he had, especially comparatively speaking to everyone else on the defense, pretty good season last year for the Titans. What do you make of his landing spot in Arizona? Does Malcolm Butler, in your opinion, have enough left in the tank to be a pretty good player for Arizona this year?
If the Titans are right, he is, on the downside now, and they're going to victimize him in the first game. He's going to be ready to battle in that game. And
yes,
I bet you he'll be lined up across from number 11 a fair amount. They had some terrific practice battles just a year ago. So, I don't know. I thought he was pretty good last year, too. There were times when certainly, Malcolm Butler is aggressive. He gets beat. I thought he was pretty decent. But they, and obviously you take costs into account there when you're talking about, moving on from a player. Big part of it with Malcolm Butler. So I could see him being pretty good for the Cardinals this year.
Well, Hunter Henry in New England now out a couple of weeks, so maybe Jonnu Smith starting to get the lion's share of the reps. I hear what you're saying on Jonnu. I think he's a good player. Until they get quarterback figured out, I don't have confidence that anybody on that offense is going to have a very good season. Cam Newton's not good.
Yeah.
And I don't know that Mac Jones, maybe he wins the starting job early. I don't know if they're going to take a more patient approach with him. Quite frankly, when he's in there, I don't know what kind of an NFL quarterback Mac Jones is going to be. But I know what I've seen from Cam Newton the last couple of years. It's not very good. I don't think that's going to help Jonnu Smith very much.
But he can still check down to the tight end.
He can.
Maybe he'll just check down all day
Every
to the tight end.
Yeah.
Jonnu Smith had like 12 catches for 48 yards.
Yes. Maybe so.
I don't know. I think, I agree. Cam Newton's way on the downside. But Jonnu Smith could make him a little better. Let's face it.
He also at
that
some point
whole
probably
offense
needs a
was
wide
bad.
receiver. But yeah.
Well, right. Yeah.
That would help. That would probably help everyone.
Yeah, it's interesting how high some people are on that team. I don't know. I get it with the defense. Defense looks like it could be pretty salty, but
There's a lot of love for the Patriots. I'm just not buying it. Not buying it. Chuck on Periscope. Timothy Busfield was also Poindexter in Revenge of the Nerds.
you're darn right, buddy. He was playing he played like the end of the thing where they did the talent show with the little violin.
Yeah.
He was a violin player, but then it was
Great
like
glasses,
a
too.
cool violin player.
Yeah.
I gotta see that. Did he not go to Michigan? Is he just Lansing?
We'll have to find
You
that
can't
out.
claim him then Michigan State.
We'll have to figure it out. I'm just telling you what the Wikipedia page says. That doesn't mean much.
So he's an artist in residence now at Michigan State.
Okay,
In the
maybe that's it.
But I swear he probably got kicked out of school after a wild semester. Let me just throw out some
Scenarios.
total BS lies about Timothy Busfield and some slander.
I hope he's listening.
Hope he is too. Out in East Tennessee or Michigan or wherever he is.
I'm glad someone brought up Poindexter though. Outstanding. He was on West Wing too. I mean, people. He's one of those guys that people. Oh yeah, that guy. I know that. Like if you saw him on something, you'd be like, oh yeah, I've seen that guy in a bunch of stuff. Would never know his name.
Well, he probably wouldn't. But yeah, most
people wouldn't know Timothy Busfield's name. Right. But yes, he was the annoying brother-in-law in Field of Dreams.
When we come back, time for another edition of Best and Worst Things in Sports. We kicked that off last week. Round 2 coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The best and worst of the sports week, now on Robby and Rexrode.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, and it is time for the best and worst thing in sports for this week. Taking your thoughts as well on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Tell us your best thing in sports and your worst thing in sports. We'll get to those coming up here in just a few minutes. Joe Rexrode, would you like to kick us off today for the best thing in sports? What is the best thing in sports this week, in your opinion?
Can I do two? I
Do
just
whatever you
want
want.
I want to make sure, because I was like, if one of you were going to do one of them, then I'd leave it to you.
I don't know what they are.
I don't know either, so I'm going to do two.
Okay.
First of all, Nolensville Little League World Series.
There goes mine. Okay.
All right. So you can talk more about that, but good for them.
Thank you.
Awesome. And right fielder made ESPN Top 10 today with his awesome catch from
Number
yesterday.
7.
So,
Yep.
But I'm going to go also U.S. men's basketball winning gold, coming back from looking awful, celebrating. It's not a foregone conclusion anymore. It really isn't. Should they win each 4 years? Yes, but it is getting better out there.
Don't tell Kevin Durant that.
Well, the Slim Reaper, boy, they wouldn't have the gold without him. But the celebration kind of told you, like, we are way past this. Just, it's a formality. I mean, the U.S. women are still kind of in that time period. I think that over time that'll get tougher too. But then the fact that people got all mad, like Kevin Durant and Draymond Green were drunk celebrating, I sure hope so. And also Draymond's trolling and complete calling out of people afterward was pretty fantastic too. So that's my best thing.
There you go. Ryan Porth, do you have a best thing in sports? Is it the Reds bullpen?
God, no.
I think it might be this
I
song.
may know what his worst thing in sports is.
I think it might be this bass line that goes along with this segment. I like it.
Yeah.
You like it?
Rexrode's a fan.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I mean, Joe's very picky about his music, so I'm glad we picked one that he liked.
That is true.
The fact that preseason football is in full swing starting tonight, because that means we are 1 month away.
That's right.
From real football.
Did you ever think we'd get to the day where we missed preseason football?
No.
I didn't. Now, I will say, ask me that question again on Friday night in about the third quarter of whether or not I missed preseason football. But after not having it a year ago, I'm on board. I'm ready to watch some preseason football.
Kickers are at least kicking with an actual game situation.
And their last name is Ficken.
Yeah.
Ficken is frickin' kicking on Friday.
That's right.
Finger fickin' good.
That's right.
What? Okay.
Try to go all KFC on us.
Or so clucking good.
Yeah, that
with,
too.
With Bojangles.
That's right.
I will also say the fact that Major League Baseball gets to play their game at Field of Dreams tonight.
Port's really excited about this Field of Dreams game.
I have not been this excited about a regular season game in baseball in a long time. Probably since the Reds were relevant.
Yes.
Which was like 8 years ago.
Port's going to watch every inning of the Yankees and the White Sox tonight.
I absolutely will.
I know you will. Looking forward to that. My answer is the Nolensville trip to the Little League World Series. It was cool. I mean, we knew yesterday that they punched their ticket, but they finished it off yesterday, win the regional. So everybody complaining that the format's different this year and that there's no international teams coming over from Japan and from Taiwan and all these different places they normally come over from. They won it anyway, the regional anyway. So Nolensville kicking some butt, now headed to the Little League World Series, and that makes 3 teams, I believe, from this area in the last decade that have made their way to Williamsport for the Little League World Series. And I got to tell you, that's baseball in its purest form. I love watching Little League World Series. Love it.
That's great.
And I will watch it.
Yep.
Strike zones are about a mile wide.
Now, the umpiring needs some work. I doubt very seriously those men and women get paid a whole lot, so
I was gonna say,
I'm not going to complain too much. But I did see a video of, and I think it wasn't Nolensville's regional, but it was another one where there's a pitch literally in the other batter's box, and the umpire calls a strike, and the kid's looking around like,
but they called a strike in Williamsport.
They called it a strike.
I mean, you get like $10. I mean, and you get parents yelling at you umping these games. So.
Yeah. Or
Have a heart.
In the case of adult league softball, Robbie Stanley yelling at you on occasion, which
I bet.
may or may not have happened last night.
About what?
I just get a little competitive.
What was the call?
The call was safe when somebody was out by 2 steps, but I digress. The worst thing in sports, Joe Rexrode, your worst thing in sports.
Is that your
No,
worst
it is
thing?
not. No, it is not.
Worst thing in sports, Art Briles.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Art Briles again. Yesterday the NCAA put out its report on Baylor. We're talking about years of investigating Baylor and all of the awfulness that went on under Art Briles. Here's the thing. I agree, and I know some people strongly disagree with this. I don't think in situations like this, and I think in particular about Penn State, I never liked the idea of like football sanctions for the things that went on at Penn State. To me, those are criminal matters, and honestly, I think it's almost like disrespect to the survivors and victims to say, well, you get 10 less scholarships because you had a child rapist on your staff that you protected for years, okay? So I actually like – we saw this in a totally different thing, but with UNC and the academic scandal, I think it is outside of their jurisdiction. I think it should be. But Art Briles, I think, should have been given more of a punishment specifically on this, and he is acting like this is a big win for him, and now he's going to be coaching college football again. And this is according to Sam Conn, wrote a column for us in The Athletic. He texted the Fort Worth Star-Telegram and said, NCAA found no wrongdoing or violation. Small window of hope feels large. Look, man, if you go through the report and everything, they found all kinds of ridiculous crap that happened to you. They just didn't do anything about it. And we know what all happened there. It was a complete lack of oversight, to be kind. So worst thing is that now he's back in the news cycle as someone who wants to coach college football. I really hope no one's stupid enough to make him a head college football coach again.
I would hope so as well. Ryan Porth, do you have a worst thing in sports? Is it the Reds bullpen?
It is the godforsaken Reds bullpen that cannot find pitchers that can A, throw strikes, B, hold a lead, or C,
there you go.
all of the above.
C, do A or B.
Yes. So the godforsaken Reds bullpen is not only the worst thing of the week, it is the worst thing of the summer in sports.
Wow. Took it a step further. Ryan Porth very upset at the Cincinnati Reds bullpen, who once again blew a game last night to the Atlanta Braves, much to the delight of many local fans around here in Major League Baseball.
Makes me want to shoot a bottle rocket up my rear end.
There you go.
Wow. This is taking a dark turn.
My worst thing in sports, the over-the-hill UFC fighters and boxers all of a sudden just coming out of the woodwork and wanting to fight. There is a new example of this week, and it's not just former fighters and boxers. Now YouTubers are fighting everywhere, and pay-per-views charging money for it, and people are actually paying for this stuff. Anderson Silva and Tito Ortiz, who were great fighters in their heyday in the UFC, now fighting in an 8-round boxing match on September the 11th. So not a UFC match, a boxing match on September the 11th. Both those guys are retired. Nobody wants to see old guys punching each other anymore. But apparently they do.
Apparently people do. I don't get it either.
I don't understand the appeal of watching two has-beens get out there and slug it out. Like it just makes no sense to me.
I don't like UFC anyway. I have a hard time watching. I love boxing. And I agree, man. There's so many fights. Like, why do I want to see this? You got the washed-up thing, and then you got the random. Yeah, I want to see like the
Jake Paul,
the dork on YouTube
who
makes millions for ripping video games or whatever. Why do I? No, I don't want to watch you. People pay to watch this happen.
Apparently so. So, good on them for recognizing a business opportunity, I guess. But I, for the life of me, cannot understand the appeal to this. I really don't. Like, who wants to watch Anderson Silva and Tito Ortiz fight each other in a boxing match at, like, age 48 or however old they are?
What if we got Jared in a boxing match with somebody?
I'd probably
watch
watch
a local. You'd watch it?
Yeah, I'd probably watch
Who would we match him up with?
Chase. Jared and Chase. Slugging it out.
Big reach advantage for
There is
Chase.
a big reach advantage for sure. Let's quickly go to the text line. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Tim from Lewisburg texting in. Best thing in sports, the Atlanta Braves right now. They're on a roll, and it goes right along with hating on Ryan Porth today since he knows nothing. The Braves are beating his Reds.
Ooh.
How about that, Porth?
So the biggest...
A little bit of shots being fired.
The Braves are the most followed team around here, I believe.
Yeah.
Are the Reds second?
Probably
Cardinals?
not. I would say Cardinals or Cubs. Reds may be in fourth.
No.
Oh, I think they might be.
No. There are more Reds fans here than you think. But, I mean, anyone who is second is distant from the Braves.
Yeah. Ron texting in, I hate the new no taunting rule in the NFL. So if Watt makes a sack and gets up and wiggles his finger, he'll be called for taunting. This takes the fun out of football.
Vrabel almost passionately defended that yesterday.
Yeah.
He's a big fan of tightening down on the taunting.
Yeah. Just let it play, man.
I mean, look,
little fun.
if it's way over the top,
Sure.
fine. But, I mean, a little bit of trash talk back and forth. I mean, how's that not going to happen in a game this violent?
Be hard-pressed to not happen. I know I would do it.
Tell me Vrabel never...
I mean, come on.
He never talked a little bit out there?
Tell me Vrabel doesn't talk now on the sideline.
Well, he's coaching a team now, so he's in charge.
Well, Belichick coaches a team, too. I've seen video of him talking on the sideline to other players. Derek Mason, one of those players. It's good stuff. Look it up.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good stuff.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, yeah. When we come back, speaking of good stuff, we'll be joined by Teresa Walker from the Associated Press. Fresh off a trip to Tokyo from the Olympics. Now back for Titans training camp. We'll get her thoughts on the Titans coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, live from the Wholesale Link Studios, powered by RumbleOn.com. Here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in. Final hour of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ryan Porth here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. And we are pleased to go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend Teresa Walker from the Associated Press, fresh off a trip to Tokyo for the Olympics, now back in town. Teresa, what's going on? Have you recovered yet at this point?
Not yet. I'm fighting through the jet lag, but it is real. It is spectacular. And my body, it may be, there's a 14-hour time difference between here and Japan. So maybe I'm getting close to my body. Instead of it thinking that it's Friday night, I think that maybe it's getting a little closer. Maybe it's just Thursday night right now. Yeah. So I've been doing everything you're supposed to, drinking lots of water and then staying up as late as I can, trying to reacclimate. So I'll just say this. It's a good thing I'm taking today and tomorrow off a little bit, kind of catching my breath because, it's a good thing that the Titans are out of town to start this preseason, something that rarely has happened in the 25 seasons they've been in town, I'm just saying.
And you, of course, showed great toughness yesterday, Teresa, and come out to practice right after getting back from Tokyo. Unfortunately, it was not a very eventful practice, but did you detect that Mike Vrabel was very happy to see you? I think he's been like a lost puppy dog without you so far in camp.
Well, he did say that he was glad to see me back, and did note that. I'll just say this: asking that first question. There's some folks who've told me on social media that I ask softball questions. Well, I'm just going to say, asking the first question, kicking things off, it's not as easy as it looks. Because I'm sorry, I know that fans get angry after losses or something, or they want you coming off the top rope with the Randy Macho Man elbow, getting the hard question in, and but guess what? That doesn't help. You got to get things started, and it's not easy sometimes to come up with that question. So the fact that I had a question and it was somewhat coherent, that I was able to say it yesterday. Because my eyes were so tired, I had a hard time. It was a good thing it was a situational practice because my eyes had a hard time seeing anything beyond my eyelids yesterday.
Oh, absolutely. That's totally understandable on that front. So, Teresa, as the preseason gets here for the Titans and finally games are coming about, Mike Vrabel throwing it out there yesterday, a lot of key guys not going to be playing in this game for the Titans. What intrigues you the most about the first preseason game for the Titans heading in to Atlanta coming up tomorrow?
Well, I want to see what these other guys do. Logan Woodside, Deshaun Kaiser's already gone. Matt Barkley's in trying to battle for the, backup spot for Ryan Tannehill, which tells me that they didn't see enough out of Kaiser and, they like Logan Woodside a lot. There's a big difference between liking a guy and then having that confidence that that's the guy that if something, God forbid, happens to Ryan Tannehill, he can go in there and win us a game. So, and that's the thing. Bringing in Matt Barkley puts the pressure on Logan Woodside. It's not just, okay, it's your job. Just, no, it's pushing him to show that he can be better and can he win that job. It's not just going to be handed to him. Darrington Evans, we didn't see much of him in his rookie year. It looks like he'll get the start tomorrow night in Atlanta. So, can he be that guy? He's been getting a lot of coaching from Derrick Henry. Can it start paying off? And all these young guys in the secondary. So, and I think we all want to see out of this defense, even if there's guys not playing, and guys, I have a theory. It's like, yes, they cut off a preseason game, but the one thing I think maybe the NFL and coaches, and they may not want to ever admit it, is that, these preseason games, we know what we've got in our starters. They need to see what they have in their backups and the guys who are competing to be, number 46 through 53 on this roster. And this is going to be big, I think, for them, these 3 games. I'm really curious to see how much not just the Titans but other NFL teams play their starters this preseason, having seen last year that, as long as you get them to the opening day healthy, and focus on trying to keep them as healthy as possible going into the season, that may end up being the target for these coaches. But, just watch these guys and see, Lord, the defense can't be much worse than last year. I've seen all the great talk about how things have been going early. Do it against another team, even if Matt Ryan probably isn't going to be on that field tomorrow night.
So from afar, Teresa, what struck you about as you're in Tokyo covering all these different sports and you're, scrolling Twitter, what has surprised you or struck you the most from the early stages of Titans camp?
Ooh, that's a good question, Joe. Probably that Bud Dupree came back early, Caleb Farley being back. Even if these guys don't, Caleb Farley's not going to play tomorrow night, Bud Dupree as well. But the fact that they're on the field, taking part in training camp, to me, that's a very good sign. I mean, yes, these are the same guys that you want to have ready against Arizona on September 12th. But the fact that they're on the field during training camp means that they're taking part in walkthroughs and they're getting up to speed mentally, and they're working on getting their bodies up to the speed that it's going to need to be for the start of the season. So, that probably, that was maybe the biggest question, was how healthy would some of these guys be? And they answered that pretty quickly in camp, considering that they still essentially had, when they were activated, a whole other month to get them up to where they need to be.
Teresa Walker from the Associated Press on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So, Teresa, with all that in mind, with all the changes the Titans have made, obviously the addition of Julio Jones, in your mind, as they start to head now into this season, what are fair expectations for this Titans team?
Well, to win the division, without a doubt. I mean, I'm sorry, but the injury to Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson in Indianapolis and their vaccination woes certainly seems to open up the pathway for the Titans. I mean, I'm not worried about the Texans, not worried about the Jaguars until they show me something with Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence that I don't expect to see this year. But guess what? That's the minimum. Get to January, get home field advantage, and then do something with it when you get there. We saw it wasn't even 2 years ago that we saw that, that this is a team that, yes, there's been changes on the roster, et cetera, yeah. But the addition of Julio Jones made it very clear that this team has high aspirations, and you don't make a move bringing in a Julio Jones unless you think this is the guy who can help get you over the top. That with a revamped defense, yes, their sights should be set very high. And now the challenge will be going out there and actually doing it.
All right, so what was the best part of Tokyo? What was the best thing you saw and covered? What will you remember most from this Olympic experience?
Well, I'll say this. Having the Lawson convenience store and not having ever heard of it before was very grateful. Lawson, ironically, the name of my son, to have that convenience store in the hotel. We were under quarantine for the first 14 days, so there was no going out to restaurants. And shoot, even if we had time, thank goodness for Uber Eats, which is a very close second, right? We were able to order some food to get it to our arena, to survive the 2.5 weeks we were there. But Lawson, man, I tell you, the egg salad sandwich, Anthony Bourdain was right, better than the one I've ever had at the Masters. Awesome. Now for the sport, I was at basketball the entire time, men and women's basketball. So, some of the best things I saw, the U.S. men shaking off a really rough start, not just to their camp in Vegas, but also to the Olympics, losing to France, and they turn around and manage to win the gold medal yet again. And Kevin Durant, I've covered him a long time, back to his days in OKC. That's a guy who kind of put that team on his shoulders and carried them to a gold. And then for the women, 7 straight gold medals. What the U.S. women have done, ties the best mark of any U.S. team at the Olympics. I think the U.S. men's basketball team, had a similar streak, but that we're talking about 30s through 68. And what the women are doing in a sport where, let's face it, Japan had never made it to the medal round, and they made it, and that's who they placed and faced and had to beat for the gold medal. That's a team that can shoot threes like crazy, and the game is getting better across the world. But to see the women still pull things out, and Sue Bird in her final Olympic game. Yes, I know I went to the University of Tennessee. I'm not supposed to say things like that, but that was kind of special to watch her finish up her career with a 5th straight gold, just like Diana Taurasi.
Teresa Walker from the Associated Press has been our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Teresa, great stuff as always. Appreciate you taking time to join us this morning and get you some sleep along the way here the next couple of days.
That's my plan. I appreciate it so much, Robby and Joe.
Absolutely. Teresa Walker, one of the best in the business for the Associated Press, covers pretty much everything here locally and, as we just found out, nationally and internationally as well.
That's right. And first question is now
back to Teresa. Vrabel is back in his comfort zone. She's back.
We're all. It all adds together.
All flows together. Very nicely. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation on the Titans, taking your thoughts on our text line as well, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, including getting to a personnel move the Titans made yesterday as well. All that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game. .1025 The Game is bringing you Nashville's best coverage of Titans training camp, presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans, Frontier Basement Systems, the All Things Basement Company, the Trenches Shop Gallery and Boutique, and the Cut Truck Mobile, Nashville's newest barbershop on wheels. You have control of the time and place. Book your appointment at thecuttruckmobile.org. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts on the Titans on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. And, Joe, the Titans do make a personnel move yesterday. Tedrick Thompson coming in at the safety position, formerly of the Seahawks and of the Chiefs as well. 37 games of NFL experience, so the Titans adding more of a veteran look to their secondary at the safety position. 37 games of experience now. 8, I believe, a year ago, and 6 the year before that. So only 14 games the last couple of years in the NFL. What do you think of this move? Is this something where Thompson absolutely is on this team, in your opinion? Or is this more just adding depth to a safety position where maybe they've not been overly happy with the depth that they've seen so far there?
Well, I mean, it seems like an ad that could certainly be on roster, in rotation, potentially. When you see a move like this, you wonder what is not being seen right now at that position. You know, that not that picking up a player that you like necessarily means that, but I know that Dane Cruikshank continues to struggle to stay healthy. And look, every time that Vrabel is asked, you know, anytime like the health thing comes up at all, I mean, Mike Vrabel makes a point. So, in fact, it was like yesterday, asked him about, Darrington Evans for a thing I wrote today, but I'm trying to think. Yeah, so okay. I followed up like, so how's he doing? Like, well, good, because he's been out there. He's been available. He's been out there every day.
Yeah.
When you do that, you get better. You build more confidence. Your body gets ready for an NFL season. Vrabel, huge. Every chance he gets to talk about how important it is to be available and to be active and to get yourself prepared for a season, he does. And Cruikshank is just a guy who has just had injury issues for a lot of his career. So he's missed some time. You know, Brady Breeze is out there. He makes some play. He had a pick six the other day off a tip pass. I don't know that he's blown anybody away. Matthias Farley is a guy who I think has a chance to be in there. But I guess if you look at it that way and say, well, if Matthias Farley is making that kind of impression, maybe you need more at that position. So here you go.
Let's go to our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Adam in Portland texting in. I understand we've spent some money, but tight end, why do we not have a number one tight end on this roster? Every guy they've added has been worse than Ferkser. It's a big position under a new coordinator.
Yeah, well, we've talked a lot about tight end, and before Julio Jones, I really thought, you know what, there's money here to maybe try to get something done with Zach Ertz or something like that. Maybe an O.J. Howard, whatever. You know, try to figure something out. And look, we got a month till the opener, so I would not rule out some kind of a move at tight end. But I think when you get Luke Stocker back in, you know, Jeff Swaim's there. Swaim has been hurt too, by the way. But you got two blocking tight ends, and you have Tommy Hudson has looked good. I mean, I think he's a guy to watch Friday. How much do the veteran tight ends play Friday, if at all? Like, does Ferkser play a series, couple series? I don't know.
I'd say so.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, I think, play some of those guys, but I bet you it's not much. Hudson has looked pretty good. Again, Bradley Moore was looking good. He had the serious knee injury. I don't think that it really goes past that in terms of guys who could make the team.
They did bring in Gabe Holmes yesterday.
They brought in, that's true. They brought in Gabe Holmes, so we'll see. They've kind of been shuttling tight ends back and forth, in and out. A true number one tight end, I mean, I think that's what that's what they hope he is. We'll see. I still think he's going to be more, you know, his role. I think he's got to be more in line than he has been. But they have other guys they feel good about that aspect with. They're not gonna have like a standout, you know, NFL tight end, NFL guy you talk about in this league is a number one tight end. Jonnu Smith was that kind of talent. He's gone. To me, any ad now would probably be just another depth ad. So, and look, it may be a problem this year. It may not be good enough.
Well, they're obviously very high on Anthony Ferkser. I mean, it's pretty clear at this point. Now, whether that's justified or not, we're going to find out.
He's not number one on the depth chart.
He's not number one on the depth chart. That is true.
Just saying.
But Kevin Byard called him top flight tight end.
So which do you believe? Which do you believe?
Look, those players are very high on Anthony Ferkser.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any question about that.
No, he's been really good.
It's just, is that going to be justified on the field this season? We'll find out. Some people say yes. Some people say, I don't know that I'm comfortable with Anthony Ferkser being your number one option at tight end.
I mean, I guess when you look at the whole thing, I would say if you got AJ and Julio going, you got Derek going, you got the offensive line figured out, Ferkser's playing the way he is now, I think you're gonna be okay at tight end. I mean, you have guys who can get the job done in your multi-tight end sets and your jumbo packages and stuff like that. You should be able to run the ball. And I think Ferkser will produce. He may not produce like, George Kittle, but I think he's going to get opportunities and take advantage of them. So, look, you can't address every position ideally, and I'd say this is one that suffered a little bit with other moves being made. But I actually feel better overall about it than I did going into camp.
Speaking of opportunity, what sort of an opportunity is Friday for Dillon Radunz, who was drafted in the second round? You've talked about the struggles that he's had so far in training camp. He's played at guard. They've moved him to tackle. He's kind of moved all around that front offensively for the Titans to this point. What kind of an opportunity is this for Dillon Radunz coming up on Friday? How much game action do you think Dillon Radunz could see on Friday in a game where, as we already know, Tannehill's not going to play, Derrick Henry's not going to play, Taylor Lewan's not going to play, Caleb Farley's not going to play. Going to be a lot of key guys out in this preseason game. I think it's to nobody's surprise. What kind of an opportunity is this game on Friday for a guy like Dillon Radunz who needs to see some things go his way as they continue to progress through camp here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's big, and it's really going to be interesting. First of all, we talked about this earlier on the show, but I have kind of, I don't know, I want to say not notice, but over time it's like another lineman gets hurt and then another lineman gets hurt. I mean, at this point, I don't think they'd play much anyway, but, I mean, Ben Jones, Nate Davis, to some extent Roger Saffold, and then Lewan is coming back from an ACL. It's not healthy. No one is fully healthy on the offensive line, on the starting offensive line. Yeah. And Kendall Lamb just got hurt. And right now he's the starting – if he's healthy, he's the starting right tackle. May change in the next month, but right now he is the starting right tackle. So what is who are they going with? I mean, I think Radunz may play a lot Friday.
Well,
you got Daniel Munyer is your one center.
Are they going to throw Tyson Bryler out there?
No way. There's no way Tyson Bryler is going to be out there. He is not. He's done a little bit of team, but not much. I mean, at this point,
all of a sudden it's like, how many bodies you got to play the offensive line in this game?
Well, right. So, I mean, Munyer, who, again, has had tons of snapping issues. Maybe someone else will get in there for some of it, but he's going to play the bulk of the night at center, I would guess. David Quessenberry has been out there taking all those reps. I would be shocked if Tyson Bryler is put out in this game yet. Now, I think Tyson Bryler will eventually in the next month get into the fight at right tackle. But, yeah, I mean, you're talking about guys like, the Michigan wrestler Adam Kuhn, and you got Cole Banwart and Ross Reynolds, Jordan Ruse. I mean, you got an offensive tackle. You've got Paul Adams and Christian DeLauro has gotten a lot of reps out there. I mean, it's thin. It's probably going to – so when I look at that setup, I do wonder – the problem is, do they have enough guys inside? They may need to play Radunz inside. But I could also see maybe Radunz playing, inside and outside through the course of the night. But I can't imagine that you're not going to get an extensive look at him. And it'll be interesting. I think Vrabel indicated yesterday he's seeing some improvement from him. I will say that, how it is with offensive linemen. It's like officials. You really notice them when they screw up.
Right.
And that has happened less often with him. Now, he's been inside. He's been outside, left, right, all over the place. Going to be really interesting to see where they put him and what they're trying to see. Do they want to see him? Do they want Quessenberry at left tackle all night? And do they have Radunz at right tackle and say, here you go. This is the position that ultimately you were drafted to play. Let's see how you do it against, some other guys who are trying to make an NFL team. Or maybe Arthur Smith will play his starters all night. Who knows? Maybe he's a totally different philosophy from Mike Vrabel.
Could be. Just going for the throat, Arthur Smith.
Yeah, it's like big win. You got to go get the dub.
That's right. What do you think the quarterback plan is? Obviously, no Tannehill. I would guess maybe Woodside plays for a half and then Barkley plays for a half. I mean, that makes the most sense to me in this game.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, Barkley's still very early in the whole absorbing the playbook. Right. But I thought Barkley the other day did some good things. Showed a little bit. But But, yeah, that's probably about the plan.
Has Barkley overall, very early, been an upgrade over Kaiser?
Well, he's been an upgrade over how Kaiser was playing.
Okay.
Yeah. I know it's with Kaiser, like TD was bullish. I'm probably more bullish than anybody. But I thought the same thing in the spring. Like, okay, wow. You can see the ability and the talent. When you got into the team stuff in camp, you just saw the inability to make a quick decision and then also to prevent yourself from making a bad decision late in a play. Barkley is, I would say, much lower ceiling. I still think Kaiser has a high ceiling because of his physical ability. But Barkley is a veteran. He's out there. He seems to know where to go with the ball, gets it out quickly. Maybe he can compete with Woodside.
When we come back, the narrative nationally, especially among NFL fans, may be changing on the Titans a little bit. We'll get to that coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Streaming live on Periscope, on YouTube, and on Twitch as well. Nice up-close and personal view of Joe Rexrode's beautiful face this morning here on our streaming platforms. It's beautiful. Love that.
Wait a minute, I can't hear you. Oh, now I can hear you. Did we
all good over there?
You know, when we have the Zoom thing, when people get subjected to these close-ups, we didn't turn the lights down today.
No, it's still bright in here.
Yeah, we should at least have taken advantage of that.
Maybe so.
Oh, well. Enjoy the view, everybody.
That's right. Chase on Periscope tweeting in, Kaiser isn't some athletic freak, and he's really bad. His ceiling is low. It's been proven. So Chase taking exception.
Chase McCabe?
No, different Chase.
Just a different Chase?
Yeah.
Well, okay. His performance is low. I'll give you that. I think he does have so it's one of those things where I guess at some point if a quarterback demonstrates that he just can't do the job well, okay, then I guess you could say that. But physical ability-wise, Deshaun Kaiser will make a throw, and you're like, ooh, wow. That's arm talent. He will run around and make a play out of nothing, and you're like, okay, that's stuff that could really do something for you in this league. That's what I'm talking about. I suppose, when it comes to decision making, if you consistently are like here, then I guess you could say the ceiling's lower. I just think it's really a matter of semantics, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying he's not close to it. And I'm not optimistic based on what he did in this camp that he's going to figure it out in this league. Most people don't.
Well, people are starting to be very optimistic on the Titans as a whole as they head into the preseason and now deep into training camp as well. This is coming out on a story from Yahoo Sports, and basically the title of it is The Tennessee Titans Emerging as the Most Popular AFC Title Bet. And they go on to say, with the NFL regular season less than a month away, the Tennessee Titans have emerged as the most popular bet to win the AFC title at BetMGM. The Titans are listed at plus 1,000 to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, and many bettors think that is a value worth betting on. According to BetMGM, the Titans have received 26.7% of the bets and 15.3% of the money to win the AFC. So what do you think of, at least with BetMGM, the Titans being the most popular bet to win the AFC title because of that value?
Well, bettors often pay more attention than, the casual fan. And, hey, that's great value. We've talked about the contenders. So the Bills are plus 650. Then you got the Ravens and Browns are plus 750. Titans right behind them at plus 1,000. Pretty good value. So I guess you call it, is that respect? It's gambling. Respect from gamblers?
Well, it's saying,
or is it lack of respect from Vegas to the fact that they're plus 1,000?
Well, I think that's what the bettors are hoping for. Is you see the number, it's plus 1,000, and you think to yourself, I really like the Titans. I like what they put together. I like that offense that they're going to put out on that field. That could end up being some pretty good value there. I think people are looking at this offense and thinking, man, the Titans have got a shot here in the AFC.
Yeah, absolutely, and that makes sense. You know what surprises me about this story is the Steelers, because I'm just a big believer that, the massive fan bases means way more delusional people in a fan base who are going to put – the Steelers are plus 2,500.
I think even Steelers fans, a lot of them that I've seen –
They still have Big Ben.
Well, I think there's a lot of fans that are like, I don't know that having Big Ben is all that great this year.
TJ Watt. Yeah. No, I agree, but there's just I just think of the huge fan base as having a lot of people who would jump on that. Plus 2,500. Why not? So the Steelers are 7% of the bets. Yeah, so that's the thing, and it's 1.7% of the money. So it's a bunch of people saying, I'll put a buck on that.
Right.
But that's quite a number for the Titans. The Titans, 26.7% of the bets and 15.3% of the money.
Ryan Porth.
It's a good value.
Co-host of The Money Line.
Yeah.
What do you think of those odds for the Titans? Plus 1,000 behind the Chiefs, obviously, the Bills, the Ravens, and the Browns in the AFC with BetMGM.
Well, all right. Restate the numbers for the teams in front of the Titans.
So the Chiefs are at plus 200, the Bills plus 650, Ravens and Browns both at plus 750, and then the Titans plus 1,000.
See, with the Bills, Ravens, and Browns, I would think that the Titans have just as good of a shot to get through the AFC as those teams in a playoff setting. So when you look at value, and that's what a lot of bettors look at, is the value of certain picks. Like the Chiefs at plus 200, while that might be at plus odds now, and as the season goes along, probably goes closer to even or even minus odds. I don't know how great of value that is versus a 10-1 bet on the Titans.
Yeah.
So I think it's all about value.
Yeah, I think so too. Neil texting in on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. BetMGM is going to make a lot of money. Neil not very confident in the Titans.
That's true because BetMGM will always make a lot of money.
Yes.
The house will win.
Yes.
The house always wins.
That's how that works.
That's right.
The house may not win if the Houston Texans win the AFC.
Yeah, may not.
What's that? Do we have a full rundown?
Plus $1 million.
Yeah, I've not seen odds on them. I'm sure they exist somewhere. I've not seen it.
Give me a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ryan Porth searching for odds on the Houston Texans to win the AFC.
I mean, if they can
I don't have those at the top of my head.
If they can keep the media out of there for the next couple of weeks.
Apparently the media is causing problems at Texans camp again today. They were filming Deshaun Watson come out on the field. And he basically just said, "Why do you guys keep filming me every day? It's the same stuff." Except he did not use stuff as the word.
You're a professional athlete in an NFL training camp. Everybody's filmed. What are you talking about?
Also, I don't know if you noticed this, Deshaun, but there's also something going on with you as well.
Yeah, you're one of the star players of the league who's embroiled in scandal. But no, what are media doing?
By the way, on FanDuel, it is 13-1 for the Titans to win the AFC. Different from the 10-1 on BetMGM. And the Houston Texans are 150-1.
Oh, good odds there.
$10 to win $1,500.
Davis Mills coming in at quarterback to get that one done.
The next Tom Brady.
Oh, speaking of Deshaun Watson, now Deshaun Watson has left the field. He has been dealing with lingering calf and ankle tightness and is being checked out by trainers, receiving treatment on his lower legs. Lingering calf and ankle tightness.
So he said, "Hey, will you just look at my leg real quick so I can go inside?"
Yeah, probably so.
Sounds fun.
Things going really well down there at Houston Texans training camp. They tried to cancel training camp yesterday and just call it off. Now Deshaun Watson is just yelling at people with cameras, and now he's just, you know what? I got some lingering ankle tightness. Get off the field here.
Just hand it over to Davis Mills and prosper.
Yeah.
Apparently he's been really bad. Just saying.
Does that surprise you?
No, but it's like especially bad.
They've got a quarterback room of Tyrod Taylor, Jeff Driscoll, and Davis Mills, baby. And Deshaun Watson.
Enjoy this, Titans fans.
Enjoy this for sure. When we come back, we'll have some tickets to give away for Nashville SC. We'll get to that coming up next. Also, we'll look ahead to what apparently is Ryan Porth's most anticipated sporting event of the year. All that coming up next.
Of all time.
Yeah, maybe even of all time. We'll take your thoughts on that on our text line as well, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game.
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
Oh, yes. A little James Earl Jones in Field of Dreams. Great baseball movie, great voice. Maybe, as I was discussing in the break with Ryan Porth, who did not know that James Earl Jones was the voice of Darth Vader, potentially the greatest voice in the history of humanity, James Earl Jones. It's amazing.
That was a great clip. I wish you would have included just a, Ray, gotta sell the farm! From Timothy Busfield, but still.
Ray, you're broke!
Yeah, there you go. Adam Vinga, by the way, says Danny Kincannon was a tenacious White House reporter. It's a Timothy Busfield role. So,
do we think Timothy Busfield has gotten more press ever than he's gotten today on this show for the last 15 years?
He was also in the show 30-something.
Okay.
Which is a pretty good show in the late 80s for anybody who cares.
Oh, okay. All right.
Just so you know. But yeah, I mean, Timothy Busfield's name has been mentioned how many times in the show? Just today. Lots of times. And apparently, yeah, the Michigan State thing, I mean, it looks like he just went to ETSU.
The East Tennessee State legend.
Fact error. Slander. My bad.
How dare you, Joe?
Poindexter.
Yeah, that's what he's got to be remembered as.
Poindexter.
Just like Ben Affleck will always be O'Banion.
Yes.
Timothy Busfield will always be Poindexter.
Well, we're coming back. Field of Dreams clip there for Ryan Porth, who apparently, I don't know that I've ever seen Ryan Porth so excited for a sporting event in my entire life. You were really fired up about the Yankees and the White Sox playing in the cornfields of Iowa tonight. This has got you really jazzed up.
Yes, it does.
You're going to watch every pitch of two teams that you care nothing about.
Yeah. I am. Because
like,
it's at the Field of Dreams.
But I know it's going to be awesome. It's going to be really cool. But are you sure that if it's like a 7-2 game in like the top of the sixth, you're going to still be just trained on the game?
Yes,
totally locked in?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yes,
I will probably be invested in the game.
Yes.
In some form or fashion.
Correct. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. So it's not just hoping Shoeless Joe pops out of left field.
Well, that's part of it.
Or Gil Hodges.
There you go.
Or maybe not hoping that Ty Cobb pops out of there.
Drag someone with him into the fiery pit of hell.
Ray's father, so that they can play catch.
That's right. Hey, the Deshaun Watson stuff is it's going all over the place.
So are you? What are you talking about?
I'm just saying. Every time it's all over Twitter now.
Yeah.
So what did he say?
He said, "Why are you guys filming me? It's the same stuff every day."
No, that's
he did
not
not use the word stuff.
That's not what I'm referring to.
Who are you? What are you referring to? With Deshaun Watson?
Did I misunderstand you during the break?
Yeah.
This will not.
Yeah, that's not what he said.
Oh, okay. Whew.
Yeah.
That would have been tough. Who the heck was that then?
Twitter commenters.
Oh, okay. I get it. All right, that's fine. This will not have a happy ending. Was a Twitter jokester. Okay.
That's correct.
Good one. Man, it's pretty funny.
Gracious. Let's go to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Got a texter that says, personally, I think Morgan Freeman has the greatest voice in the history of humanity. That's a tough call between Morgan Freeman and James Earl Jones.
Yeah, both are right there.
Sam Elliott, Johnny Cash, 2 more votes from Kristen Nash.
Well, if you're going to get into singers too, then but I would say it's hard to top James Earl. Baseball. Moonlight Graham.
People will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
That's right. Yeah. I'm excited to see it. Now,
it's also going to be on our airwaves tonight starting at 6.
That's right.
ESPN 102.5 The Game.
And I'm excited for it. But like, it's different, right? just watching a baseball game take place in the cornfields of Iowa. It was like, I guess it wasn't the Winter Classic, but the Lake Tahoe game with Vegas and Colorado. I mean, there was no one in the crowd, but it was awesome because you're playing an NHL hockey game right beside Lake Tahoe. Like, this just the scenery is really cool. I wonder if we start to see a little more of this. Like, obviously you want the money and the gate that comes with having games in places where people can actually show up and watch. So maybe the cornfield of Iowa, not the most ideal situation for that, or Lake Tahoe. But I do kind of like.
Well, there's going to be like 8,000 people.
Oh, I know, but
tonight.
8,000 is not the same as a typical ballpark.
Sure.
So it's a little bit less from that regard. But I do wonder if you can start to get into more of these unique settings when you do some of these outdoor games, whether it's in hockey or moving baseball around a little bit too.
Well, I covered a basketball game on an aircraft carrier.
You
one
did
time.
do that.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Of course, that's happened a few times, but like that was the first one. President Obama got to shake my hand.
Yeah.
Pretty big day for him.
Got to shake my hand. Yes.
It's pretty awesome. That was creative. What else do we have? You've got the hockey and football stadiums.
And iconic baseball stadiums. They should go to the Sandlot.
You know, you've had like obviously London, but like just go to like an actual Sandlot.
No, the
from
Sandlot.
the movie
Like
the
that,
Sandlot.
the set for the Sandlot.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and the wall is like 200 feet in left field, and
Just have a gigantic dog back
Yeah.
there.
Hercules can get all the baseballs or baseballs.
So we got two movies you've seen here.
Both include James Earl
I was about to
Jones.
say,
Big
James Earl
day.
Jones is in both of them.
That's right. Interesting. And yet no
People
Star
will come,
Wars.
Ray. People will most definitely come.
What a great voice.
What are some of his other great movies?
Star Wars.
No, I know. We know Porth hasn't seen those.
That's a good question. What is
I mean, he's
James
been
Earl?
in a
He's been in a
million
lot of
things.
things. Yeah. James Earl Jones. He's 90 years old.
That would be cool if he could get there and they could get him there.
We know Kevin Costner's there.
Yeah. I mean, he was Mufasa in The Lion King.
Yeah, that's true.
Really?
Yes.
Have you seen that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
Three
Yeah.
movies. Elijah's so impressed.
Yeah. He was. He's been in Sesame Street before too.
Now my mind has been blown.
He's been in a lot of things. The IMDb list for James Earl Jones, it's a long list, my friend. Let me tell you.
Extensive.
It
What's
is
the latest?
extensive.
What's the latest one?
The latest one is Coming to America.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
2021.
And Coming to.
Coming to
He
America.
was in the. I still haven't seen the sequel, which is pretty bad.
Never seen one or two.
Oh my God.
You never seen Coming to America 1?
No.
Please fix that. Jeez.
Like, I could excuse not seeing 2. That's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, I want to watch it. I'm just. It sounds like it was okay.
Yes.
So unless I hear people say it was amazing, I'm not rushing to go take it. Hey, Elijah, have you ever heard of Timothy Busfield? Wow, I'm kind of surprised. Elijah's a bit of a pop culture savant.
That's right.
All right. Well, anyway, I'll tell you all about him after the show.
All right. It's race time here on Robby and Rexrode.
Yeah, Joe will tell Elijah all the shows that Timothy Busfield is
right.
a part of.
That is right.
Some great shows.
And what college he went to.
His wife was in one of the great shows of all time.
That's right. We just got Kathlena texting in about that as well. Speaking of the text line, be our first texter at 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025 for your opportunity to win tickets to see Nashville SC take on Orlando coming up next Wednesday. The first texter at 615-737-1025 will win those tickets.
Text in NSC.
Text in NSC. So Porth amending things. Text NSC to 615-737-1025 and you will win those tickets. There you go. So hit up those text lines. It's a race.
A week from yesterday.
That's right.
Yeah.
A week from yesterday. That is correct. Don't know that I've heard it described that way before.
Have you never heard that before?
No.
It's accurate.
It is accurate.
A little strange, but it's accurate.
Thanks, Joe.
Sure.
Who wins tonight, the Yankees or the White Sox?
The
in
White Sox.
Field of Dreams battle. Who's pitching?
Lance Lynn.
Okay.
An ode to
He's
Shoeless
nails.
Joe, the White Sox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they're going to be
Joe.
Another great part of tonight's game is that they're going to be wearing the throwbacks that were featured in the movie.
Yeah.
So that's going to be super cool.
That'd be cool.
And we're going to see Aaron Judge go over the fence to make a catch and disappear in the cornfield.
The only disappointment I have is that there is a fence. I think that they should just take the wall down and just let the cornfield be the natural barrier. That's the only complaint I have.
I would love that.
I would too.
I mean, just put...
You're going to lose a few baseballs along the way, but that is what it is.
Yeah, no one's going to get hurt.
See Lewis Robert just fade into oblivion.
Yeah, he's gone. Come back in there.
Honestly, guy, how many preseason games do we have tonight?
2.
Football. We got
2 of them.
The Pats. So one of them's on TV for us.
Yeah.
Okay. Pats, Washington football team.
Well, both will be on TV. Like the other game will be replayed probably 10 times overnight.
Sure.
Yeah, Steelers, Eagles.
Yeah. Get fired up.
Battle for Pennsylvania.
That's right. That does it for us today here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll be back 6 a.m. tomorrow. Darren, Donica, Chase coming up next. This is ESPN 102.5 The Game.